Dear listener, just before you dive into Duke of Ruin, please know this story explores some heavy themes, including homophobia, parental violence, forced marriage, internalized shame, emotional manipulation, and family pressure. It also touches on people trafficking. There are moments of emotional intensity, secrecy, violence, and pain alongside the romance. If any of these topics are sensitive for you, please take care and read with caution. Your mental and emotional well-being always comes first. This is an original work of fiction written by Holly Myers. All characters, names, places, and events are entirely fictional and the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. This audiobook is protected by copyright. Unauthorized reproduction or distribution is strictly prohibited. Let's dive in. Chapter 1, Noah. I toss back the last of my whiskey sour and run my tongue along my teeth, savoring the burn as I swallow. This is my third drink, way too many for what's at stake tonight, but I'm just blending in with the crowd. No one here has given me so much as a second glance, even though I'm not a member of this fraternity. I adjust my mask. It's just another part of blending in. I'm one of about 50 guys here wearing the half mask identical to the one in the Phantom of the Opera, which is probably why no one has paid any attention to me. I stand up from the bar stool and sway slightly. Yeah, I've had too much. The heirs to the Carbone family are all legacies for this frat, which is the only reason why I'm here. I have no interest in joining the Phi Alphas or any other frat for that matter. I already belong to one, the Fraternity of Law Enforcement Officers. I straighten my shoulders, but try to be careful not to look too much like a cop. I'm one of the youngest undercover officers for the Montcove PD, which is perfect for this task, and I have the added perk of being able to finish my criminal psychology degree with my tuition completely covered. Too bad there's not much going on tonight besides the usual frat house nonsense. A lot of drinking, screwing around, and general debauchery. Too bad I'm not particularly interested in what's on display tonight. The women are wearing barely their dresses and elaborate jeweled masks. They look amazing, but my eyes keep wandering to the men in their designer tuxedos, some even wearing capes with dark and mysterious masks to hide their identities. There are places for openly gay men on this campus, but the Phi Alpha house isn't one of them. I run my tongue over my lips and start toward the door. I think I'm done for the night since I won't find anything useful at this party, and I shouldn't risk hanging around and blowing my cover, especially since another whiskey sour is already calling to me. I hear a slight commotion across the main room. This whole house is an ostentatious display of money. Most of the brothers here come from obnoxiously wealthy families with ties in both legal and not-so-legal dealings around Montcove, even expanding deeper in New England. Dark-stained oak trim surrounds almost everything, and bronze sconces and fixtures decorate the walls and surrounding furniture, all leather, of course. A split staircase leads to the second floor, where the brothers who live in-house keep their bedrooms. The bar, with its hired tender, wraps around the back of the room and leads into a gourmet kitchen that I'm sure only hired chefs and caterers actually use. The massive oak doors swing wide as a new group of revelers comes into view. I stop where I am and lean against the wall, try to look inconspicuous as I catalog each new attendee. The man in front is clearly the leader of this menagerie. He's taller than the others and wears a jester's hat with alternating blue and gold velvet stripes. His gold mask weaves around his temples and meets across his eyes, but I can see the bright flash of green even behind the mask. Sensuous lips curl back into a wide smile, and his jawline is sharp and angled. He looks like a statue of a Greek god. His tuxedo is bright blue with gold trim, matching his jester's mask. His quick eyes scan the room, and my heart skips a beat when they rest on me. Realization makes my chest tighten. He's my target, Eli Carbone, but this is the first time I've seen him in person. There's no reason he should recognize me, but my pulse quickens as his eyes linger on me for a moment before resuming their scan of the party. Two women flank him, their full breasts spilling over tight necklines, each of them dressed identically in blinding silver dresses and platinum masks. The one is blonde and the other brunette. Several other men in Renaissance-style masks follow them. I watch as Eli turns to his left and exchanges greetings with several of the other partiers, his entourage dutifully following his every step. Even from my vantage point, I can see that he's graceful and quick. His eyes never stop moving as he assesses the room around him. I have to figure out how to get close to him without him figuring out I'm a cop. I return to the bar and order another whiskey sour, which is probably the last thing I need, but this man has already gotten under my skin. He walks through the room like some sort of royalty, and I feel the compulsion to knock him down a peg. He comes from an evil family. They're all corrupt, selfish mobsters with no regard for anyone without the Carbone name. They all lie, cheat, steal, and murder their way into money and power. I turn back to the bar with my drink in hand, realizing that I need to school my expression when the bartender winces. I shake my head to clear it. If I want to pull this off, I can't let my emotions get in the way. I pull in a deep breath and close my eyes for a second. Interesting party. A voice startles me out of my thoughts. It's smooth and rich, steeped in wealth and diplomacy. Definitely, I answer. I open my eyes and blink twice when I turn to the speaker. It's him. I fight to control my expression as my heart starts pounding in my chest. Have we? Have we met? I manage to stammer out the words, fighting to keep my wince internal. I don't believe so, he says as he trains those emerald eyes on me. I'm Eli. He extends his hand, and I stare at it stupidly for a heartbeat. Noah, I say, and take his hand. It's warm and soft. I swallow, and my throat feels thick. Well, Noah. He smiles at me as though he can feel my nervousness through my hand, which I notice he hasn't yet released. Are you pledging? I haven't decided yet. I finally manage a weak smile. Well, let me know if you do, he answers and nods at someone across the room. He finally releases my hand and reaches up to run his fingers across my jawline, an uncomfortably intimate gesture that sets my nerves tingling. I will. My eyes narrow as he walks away from me. I should look away, but I can't help myself as I watch him breeze through the room like he owns it. I finally drag my eyes away from his lithe figure and turn back to the bar. I take a few more sips of my drink, then set the mostly empty tumbler down and stand up, swaying slightly on my feet. I did what I came to do. I made contact. Now I need to get out of here before I do something really stupid. As I make my way through the crowd, I notice Eli again. This time, he's looking directly at me. My heart stutters and I can't tear my eyes away. He gives me a short nod. I can't tell if it's an invitation or simply an acknowledgement, but in my buzzed state, I take it as the former and change direction. As soon as he realizes I'm headed straight for him, Eli whispers something in the ear of the woman next to him and stands up. He gives me a quick glance over his shoulder before walking in the opposite direction. I hesitate, but only for a second before I follow. I keep my eyes trained on his back, watching the silky material of his tux swaying with his movements as I follow him toward a back door. He slips through it, and I think I see another quick glance in my direction as the door closes behind him. I cross the room and put my hand on the bronze handle, then pause. I should turn around and leave. Even if he was trying to get my attention, it was subtle enough to pretend I missed it, but something pulls me forward. Against my better judgment, I turn the handle and push through. I'm surrounded by greenery. A massive oak tree stands in the center of a meticulously manicured garden. Shrubs and flowers rise on each side of me, giving the air a sweet and earthy scent. I'm standing on a narrow stone path that leads to a concrete bench underneath the tree, but I don't see Eli anywhere. My pulse quickens as I realize that I don't see anyone. The music from the party is muffled behind me, but the air in this place is heavy and quiet. I cautiously take a step forward, following the path. Even in my drunken state, I realize the potential for danger in this situation, and my senses sharpen as I listen for anything unusual. Is it possible that Eli somehow already knows about me, and now he's lured me out here to eliminate me? That would fit with the Carbone way of business. And I stupidly walked right into the trap. I should turn back now, before I end up at the bottom of the river, but my feet keep moving forward down the path. I approach the tree, the massive trunk blocking most of my view of the rest of the garden. I tune into my surroundings and slowly arch around the trunk, and I notice that the path continues on the other side of it. I check my surroundings again. My skin tingles with excitement and anticipation, though I can't figure out why. I slip onto the other side of the path, trying to keep silent as I follow it deeper into the garden. Took you long enough. I jump and spin around with my hands in the air defensively, only to see Eli leaning against the oak tree. I lower my hands as I chastise myself. I'm so fucking stupid tonight. I know I drink too much, though I know that's not my only excuse right now. I was trained by the best agents at Montcove PD, and they would have my ass right now if they could see how dumb I've been tonight. I shake my head, flexing my jaw. This is it. This is how I die. I follow my target a little too closely, and now I'll disappear like so many of the Carbone enemies. My eyes sweep up and down Eli's frame. He's beautiful, and I don't see any weapons. Some of his entourage must be hiding out here, waiting for his signal. It's possible that I just can't see his weapon, but I think he'd be holding it if he was about to attack. I look around, trying to sense someone else. We're alone, Noah, he says, his voice silken and thick. I make a decision right here and now. If this is how I die, I'll at least die fighting. I straighten my shoulders and look directly into his piercing eyes. What do you want? I ask, keeping my voice level. I notice you watching me. Eli answers, his sultry voice like a caress. I thought we could have some fun. I tilt my head. What did you have in mind? I take a step closer as he pushes himself away from the tree trunk. Nothing specific. Eli's smile turns wicked. What's the point of a masquerade without some anonymous excitement? I take another step toward him, our bodies now within arm's reach. I steel myself, still listening for his associates in the bushes around us. I told you, we're alone, Eli murmurs as he reaches a hand out to touch my face. His fingers slide along the edge of my mask, and I fight the urge to turn my head so that his skin makes contact with mine. He takes a step closer, and my breath catches as his fingers slide down the bottom of my mask and along my exposed jaw. On impulse, I take a step closer, our bodies now just inches apart. I can feel heat radiating from him in the cool autumn air. My eyes drift to his lips as they part slightly. He pulls me closer, his hand curling around the back of my neck. He kisses me. His lips are hard against mine, and the world tilts beneath me. I have never felt anything like it. For a split second, I panic. What the hell am I doing? This is Eli Carbone, one of the most connected students on this campus. My handler would absolutely kill me if he could see me right now. I pull back, breathless. This was all wrong, but there's no denying the pull between us. I blink a few times, trying to process what the hell just happened. How the hell was I supposed to explain this to my handler? I guess I don't have to give him all the details of how I made contact with my target, just that I did. Still, way to make a situation much more complicated than it had to be. I slip back through the door and into the house. I keep my head down and make a quick exit, though I'm pretty sure I see Eli watching me at one point. I turn up the street, heading back in the direction of my apartment, just off campus. Once I make it back to my building, I take the elevator to my floor, and as soon as I'm safely locked inside my apartment, I call my handler, Detective Rossi. The phone rings as I look around my room. Small bed and nightstand, smaller dresser, a desk, and chair. That's all the furniture in the small apartment, which has a tiny kitchenette with a refrigerator crammed into the corner and an even tinier bathroom through the only door in the place. Update. Rossi's voice cuts through my thoughts. His voice is sharp and allows no room for banter. How he was ever an undercover officer makes my head spin. He's such a cop. I made contact with the target. I say quickly, keeping my voice low. I doubt anyone can hear me through the walls, but I can't be too careful. Anything useful? Rossi asks. No. I mean, not really, I say. Which is it, kid? Rossi's voice grates against my nerves. No, I say. It was just a stupid frat party. I figured as much, but it's a good place to start, Rossi says while I press my lips together. Let me know when you find something we can use. Remember who the real target is. Of course, I answer and hang up the phone. My job is to get close to Eli, but the man Rossi wants is actually his uncle, the leader of the Carbone family. I can't imagine that taking him down will have any long-term impact, since they'll just put another Carbone in his place. I keep thoughts like that to myself, though. Eventually, I'll make it far enough up the food chain so I can make these decisions. But for now, I just have to follow orders, and right now my orders are to get close to Eli Carbone. I close my eyes and fall back onto my bed. Something like that cannot happen again. This case is already complicated enough. And if the department finds out that I'm getting close to the target, it could throw the whole case under suspicion. I'm not sure if anyone in the department even knows I'm attracted to men, since it isn't exactly something I announce when I walk into a room. My father definitely wouldn't approve if I did. Nothing like this will happen again. I'll just have to keep myself in check. Definitely no more drinking on.
Chapter 2. Eli. I didn't get his last name. I tried asking around, but asking about the guy in the Phantom of the Opera mask was less than useless. Such an overdone trope. It doesn't take that much investment to be original, especially at a masquerade, but whatever. My costume was fucking splendid. Still, I can't stop thinking about him. I've had a few encounters with men before, but nothing like that. Something about Noah is different and it unsettles me in ways I can't fully explain. I stand up from my seat and grab my bag and head toward the exit. This class doesn't end for another 30 minutes, but I'm not going to be able to sit here for that long. It's all a bunch of boring nonsense anyway. The only reason I'm here is because my family thinks it will be good for me, though I can't imagine why. Intro to business administration and practices is so beneath me. I've been in charge of at least a third of the family affairs since I was 16, and most of what they teach in this class is pansy-ass nonsense. If you want something done, you get it done. The corridors of Valmont's Cheshire Hall are quiet as I head for the exit. I cross the open atrium and push through the doors, squinting into the sunlight. Like I've been trained, I take stock of everyone around me. A few people are scattered across the lawn, sitting or lying in the grass with their books or headphones. A group of students sits at a stone picnic table, but none of them are paying me any attention. I don't have a destination in mind, so I just start walking. A few of the other students give me a cursory glance as I pass them, but they quickly look away. I'm practically a celebrity around here. I pause to take my headphones out of my backpack. I really don't feel like talking to anyone at the moment, and the headphones are like a signal for everyone to leave me the fuck alone. I haven't been able to track down this Noah character, though not for lack of trying. I've looked through the class databases, social pages, even asked around, not too much though, since I don't want to get people talking. I quicken my pace. I may as well head back to the house and find something to eat. I lose myself in my music as I walk across campus with my hands stuffed in my pockets. It's cool today, more so than usual for this time of year. I look up and there he is. I stop mid-stride when his dark eyes lift to meet mine. He pauses for an instant, but he quickly recovers and looks away from me. I pick up my pace to meet him at the bottom of the stairs and stop in front of him, blocking his way. Noah, right? I ask as I slip my headphones down around my neck. His eyebrows tighten as he takes me in and his jaw flexes, which makes my pulse quicken. I smile broadly and look up at the building. We met at the masquerade. We did, he confirms. My eye twitches before I gain control of my expression. The building he's exiting is Wilcox Hall, the criminology department. You're Eli Carbone. In the flesh, I answer with a dramatic bow. I stand a little taller than him, and his dark eyes flash with something I can't place. Did you decide if you wanted to pledge Phi Alpha? I'd be interested in sponsoring you. I lift an eyebrow at him. He purses his lips. I don't know, he says. I don't think I'm fraternity material. I rather like my autonomy. And I rather enjoyed your anatomy, I say with a grin. His lips quirk in response, and his eyes rove over my chest before he catches himself and meets my gaze again. Walk with me. I shift to stand beside him before he can object. His eyebrows lift for a moment before he shrugs and falls into step beside me. Where are we going? He asks with a playful lift of his chin. I'm a bit peckish, so I thought I'd head back to the house for a snack. I don't want to join the fraternity, he says with a little more conviction. That's not why we're going to the house, Noah, I answer without looking at him. I'm not going to try to convince you. You don't seem the type to submit to a bunch of hazing, anyway. The corner of my lips lifts into a half smile. No offense. None taken. That's a compliment, he answers with a snort. Even his snort is fucking sexy. Despite past circumstance. He looks at me with a grin. You don't seem that type either. How did you manage it? I'm a legacy. I lift my chin. I didn't have to do all that bullshit. Of course you didn't, he mutters. I look down at him and tighten my gaze. I suppose my reputation precedes me, I say, my voice a little tighter than I wanted. I see him tense, as though he's considering his response. Finally, his shoulders sag. Yes, it does. You're known around campus, Noah huffs, and I have to fight the urge to wrap my arm around him. He presses his lips together and looks up at me, a pained expression on his face. I didn't know who you were then. Surely my name doesn't intimidate you, I chide. Intimidate? No, he chuckles, and the muscles in his arm flex as he adjusts his backpack. We just come from different worlds, my friend. Friend. That word hits me like a slap, but I school my expression into nonchalance. He's trying to put distance between us, but that's not going to work for me. I want him closer, not walled off. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend, he starts, but I cut him off. No offense taken, friend. I emphasize that word a little too much. I really need to get it together before I scare this man off. His eyes narrow, but he doesn't back away. I don't know anything about you yet. Maybe we can bring our worlds a little closer together. He presses his lips together and I fight the urge to touch him. What is wrong with me? Even being seen just flirting with a man on campus would cause a lot of problems with the family. What am I doing? Sorry, I say, shaking my head. I'm a little distracted today. I didn't expect to run into you. No worries, he answers with a smile that melts me. I was a bit surprised, too. We approach the huge doors to the Phi Alpha house, and I unlock them with my card. He pulls in a deep breath as we walk through, and he looks around the entryway. Wow. He sounds breathless. This place is something else. His eyes trail up the dual staircases leading to the second floor. He hesitates, then lets me take the lead. Come on. I take him by the arm, leading him toward the kitchen. His skin is hot on my hand, and my pulse speeds up at the contact. He cuts his eyes toward me, and a slight smile plays at his lips, but he doesn't pull away. A lunch spread is laid out on the kitchen counters, several types of sandwiches and cold cuts alongside cheeses, fruits, yogurt, and condiments. My personal chef sets these out every day, and the brothers come and go eating at their convenience. I select a sandwich and gesture for Noah to take his pick. He chooses a yogurt parfait, and I can't help but smile. We grab a couple cans of soda and take everything to a small breakfast table in the corner. He gazes out the bay window as I take a bite of my sandwich and study his face. The angles of his cheeks and jaw cast deep shadows that I find alluring. The muscle in his jaw ticks as his eyes search the view outside the window. We can see the oak tree from here, and I can't help but notice when his eyes settle on it and darken. What are you thinking about? I tease as I watch him dip his spoon into his parfait. His eyes slowly trail to mine as he brings the spoon to his lips. Same thing you are, he says. Something charged passes between us. Before we can act on the tension rising in the room, one of the brothers, Aaron, walks into the kitchen with a girl I recognize. I quickly gather my composure. We're not alone. Listen, I say, fighting to keep my voice even. I have a thing tonight. Why don't you come with me? What kind of thing? Noah asks. A family thing at the Dark Angel Lounge, I say. It's a sort of party for my cousin. He pauses and looks at me. His eyes tighten as though he's trying to decipher a code. Isn't that kind of exclusive? You'll come as my guest, I assure him. It's probably going to be incredibly boring, but there'll be an open bar. If you're interested. He tilts his head at me and blinks a couple of times before responding. Sure, he finally says, and my heart skips a beat. What time? Meet me back here at 8, I say, fighting to keep my expression in check. I'll drive. Wear a suit. Okay. Noah's lips curl into a smile as he turns back to me. He hesitates like he wants to say something else. See you then. I run my tongue across my bottom lip. See you then. 8 o'clock rolls around while I wait in the atrium. I'm wearing a navy pinstripe suit and Italian loafers, all tailored perfectly for me, of course. My curly hair hangs loose around my head and I fight to keep a grin off my face. The doors open and I try to appear nonchalant, but my eyes dart toward them as Noah walks through in a black suit that makes me think of James Bond. He looks a little stiff as he walks across the room, and I rise from my chair. He looks sexy as hell, though. A blood-red shirt coupled with a black tie accentuates his skin and eyes, and the suit fits him perfectly. Maybe our worlds aren't so different after all. You ready to go? I ask with a wave of my hand. He nods, keeping his eyes on mine. His broad shoulders exude strength and masculinity. My lips curl into a smile as I lead him back out the door to the garage. A Bentley. His eyebrows lift as I unlock the doors. I grin without remorse. Yes, and it's worth every penny. You'll see, I say as he climbs into the passenger seat. His eyes move all over the cabin as we get ready to leave. He almost seems like he's afraid to touch anything. Go ahead, adjust the seat, press the buttons. You can't hurt anything in here, I chide. His lips purse in challenge as he starts messing with the levers and buttons to adjust his seat. Before we're even on the highway, he looks like he's more comfortable than he's ever been. This is something else, a whole new level. You've never ridden in a Bentley before? I ask. His eyes tighten for a split second, but then he just shrugs. Nope, he answers. My family never could have afforded something like this. Well, it's not like I haven't worked for it, I say, suddenly defensive of my privilege. I don't doubt it, he says with a dismissive wave. I understand money, I just don't have any. Yet. Yet. I lift my eyebrows. I have plans. I don't expect to ever get rich. He gestures to the car. But I'll get to a point where I'm comfortable. It's good to have goals, I guess. I shake my head at how ridiculous I sound. Noah slips into a thoughtful silence. It wasn't easy, growing up the way I did, Noah finally says. It felt like I had to fight for every little thing, and I could never let my guard down. You may be surprised to know we have that in common, I answer with a glance over at him. He tilts his head in response. Money brings a lot of comforts, but it also comes with its own set of problems, mainly that when you have a lot of it, people try to take it from you. I take a breath. It's hard to tell if the people around you are real. We arrive at the Dark Angel Lounge, and the valet opens the door for Noah. We both chuckle slightly at the awkwardness of it. I toss my keys to the young man in a red vest and head into the main lounge. We're among the last to arrive, which is by design. I try not to associate with my family on a personal level. I know they're flesh and blood, but they're faker than most when it comes to personal ties. They'll fight for each other in a heartbeat in public, but behind closed doors they'll gut you in a second. We make the rounds of the room. I speak my general acknowledgements, and Noah mostly just nods. I start to question the wisdom of bringing him here. The last thing I want to do is paint a target on his back. I try to maintain an arm's length between us, and he seems unbothered. He must know what it's like to be attracted to men in a world where that's not easily understood. I order us a couple drinks at the bar, and we find a table situated away from almost everyone else. I'm relieved to finally be able to talk to him. But before I can even get a single word out, my father strides across the room. Eli, it's good to see you, he says as he approaches the table. I stand to greet him, and thankfully Noah does the same. Good to see you, too, father, I respond. He takes my hand in a firm shake and claps my shoulder, jostling me out of my comfort zone. I thought you were still in Italy. Business concluded early, so we caught an early flight, he says. A woman strolls up behind him, and I'm pretty sure she's younger than me. She loops her arm through his and gives me a plastic smile. This is Esmeralda, he says by way of introduction. She lowers her head demurely. He glances over at Noah. Who's your friend? Noah Andriotta, he answers for me, putting out his hand. I breathe a sigh of relief. We're classmates at Valmont. My father shakes his hand. You're in business administration as well. Noah gives a curt nod, and my eyes tighten. I'm pretty sure that's not true, but the sooner my father leaves us alone the better. Good to meet you, son, my father says. His accent is a bit thicker than usual, thanks to spending the last few months overseas. Likewise, Noah responds. Sorry, Noah, this is my father, Eli Carbone, I say quickly. Noah's jaw ticks. I'm sure he recognizes the name. Everyone does. Mr. Carbone, Noah repeats with a nod. Well, it's good to see you, son, my father says, turning back to me. We'll have to catch up soon. Of course, I answer, and he finally walks away. I breathe another sigh of relief, then turn to narrow my eyes at Noah. You're not a business major, I say with a lift of my eyebrows. No, he says with a nervous chuckle, but I always get a lecture when I say general studies. I press my lips together and smile at him. As the night wears on, I get us several more rounds of drinks. We chat with several of my cousins and distant relatives. We give the obligatory birthday wishes, and I give my cousin Reese a gold chain as his gift. By the time the party comes to an end, I'm happily buzzed and leaning on Noah for support, though he's leaning on me just as much. For a family event, this was more fun than I expected. Noah is quick-witted and charming without giving too much of himself away. It's like he was bred for this environment. I finally admit I'm too inebriated to drive us back to Valmont tonight, so we stumble to the hotel next door. Once we're checked in, we head upstairs and key our way into the room. There are 2 beds, but as the night deepens and our defenses lower, we end up talking for hours, falling asleep side by side, our connection undeniable, even as we both resisted.
Chapter 3. Noah. My head is throbbing when I wake up the next morning, and the bed is cold beside me. I sit up, squinting into the abhorrent light filtering through the drapes. It's eerily silent, no matter how hard I strain to hear the sounds of someone else's presence. I look around. My suit has been neatly folded on the chair between the beds. The other one is still perfectly made up. I give my head a moment for the throbbing to subside before I look around again. On the table between the beds is a small bottle of aspirin and a much larger bottle of water. I smile at the gesture and wash down 3 of the pills. When I grab my phone and check the time, it's only about 9:30, so there's plenty of time before we're supposed to check out. The bathroom door is open and the lights off, though the scent of hotel soap is permeating the air. Eli must have just gotten out of the shower. I put my head in my hands, try to force the hangover away with willpower alone. It's not working. Eli, I croak. There's no response. I look around again. His clothes are gone. He must have already left. My heart sinks, but I push the feeling down. I have to get my head in the game. Guilt pulls in my stomach. I genuinely like Eli, and I think he feels the same way about me. We had a really great time last night, but this cannot go anywhere, no matter how much I might want it to. I get up and stumble my way into the shower. By the time I'm clean and dried off, the aspirin has taken the edge off my hangover. He must have really left. I feel hollow for some reason. A paranoid thought crosses my mind. Did he go through my phone? There's nothing incriminating on there. I'm pretty sure. I glance at my messages anyway. That's when I notice the note on the nightstand. All that's on it is his name and phone number. I narrow my eyes at it. I can't seem to decide if I should be offended. Not that it matters. Even if I was, it's not like I can just break up with him. Not that there's a relationship to break up. This is my assignment. This is why I'm allowed to go to this school. I have to get close to the Carbones. Still, my chest tightens at the thought. Eli doesn't seem like a bad guy. Rich, arrogant, spoiled, sure, but there's something else there. I take those feelings and shove them down deep enough that I hopefully won't find them again. I shift my focus to what the Carbones did to my family. My father just wanted out. He absolutely would have walked away quietly, but they wouldn't let him. I was only a baby when it all went down, but they threatened our whole family when my father tried to quit his position as an enforcer. He just didn't want that violent life anymore once his kids were born. One night when he was off with the Carbones, our house somehow caught fire. Mom managed to get us all to safety, but not without suffering serious burns in the process. My father tried to get past the guilt, even going so far as to become a state witness against the Carbones. But he ended up hanging himself while in custody. At least, that's the official story. Since then, Mom has raised the 2 of us under witness protection. That's why this mission is important. That's why I have to push any feelings I have aside. Who knows how many families have been devastated by these people? They shouldn't get to live in luxury while the rest of us suffer. I clench my fist in the towel for a second before using it to dry my hair. I pause for a moment in front of the full-length mirror when I notice the slight discoloration in the skin on my hand as I bring the towel down. It's the only mark left on me from the fire. I look over the rest of my body, almost as though I'm searching for more marks, more scars like my mother's. Over half of her skin is still scarred, and her lungs never fully recovered. I've trained for this my whole life. I've known since I was just a kid that I wanted to be a cop, that I wanted to get justice for people like my mom, that I wanted to put bad guys away. I'm one of the best marksmen the PD has ever seen. This is my calling. It's what I was born to do. I can't let anything get in the way of that, especially a spoiled rich kid like Eli. With my resolve bolstered, I throw on my suit from last night and leave the hotel, keeping tabs on my surroundings just in case anyone is curious about the man Eli Carbone spent the night with. I have the front desk call a cab for me to take back to campus. On the ride, I muster the nerve to send Eli a text, since I have to keep up this farce if I'm going to succeed. Once I'm back in my apartment, I get out my notebook and write down everything I remember from the party last night. I write down everyone's names and what I learned about them, as well as the details of any conversations I remember. The exercise is harder than I anticipated. Eli seemed genuinely happy with me there, like he knew he was sitting in a pit of vipers and I was his safety line. Maybe that's just me projecting. Wishful thinking is a powerful drug. Once I'm finished, I dutifully lock everything in the safe behind the lone picture framed on the wall, as I've been trained. According to Rossi, Too many undercover agents have been compromised by careless handling of evidence. My phone vibrates next to me, and I glance down at it. Eli finally texted me back. Just one word. Lunch? I take a deep breath and steel my resolve once more. I'm already in the deep end, so I might as well swim. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I expected to go back to the frat house, but instead we're at some sort of fundraising event in downtown Montcove. The scent of grilled meats and funnel cakes permeates the air around us, and the streets are blocked off for the milling crowd. I follow Eli as we approach several tents set up with coolers and tableware. Eli grabs a couple of burgers and sodas, then leads me off to the edge of the crowd, where we sit at a bench usually reserved for the bus route. What are we doing here? I finally ask around a mouthful of burger. I have to admit it's delicious, especially for street food. The Phi Alphas are raising money for the Montcove Arts Council. The Montcove Arts Council? I repeat, feeling baffled. Yeah, they provide art instruction for all the schools around here and do a lot of community work. The fraternity set up this festival to give the artists a chance to display their work and hopefully sell some, and to raise funding for the school programs. I'm hoping to make it a yearly event. Eli looks almost sheepish as he gauges my reaction. Wow, is all I can manage in response. I look around at all the tents and booths. There's even a live band on stage at the end of the block. I didn't realize you were that into fine arts. I was put into a lot of art and music classes when I was young. My mom wanted to make sure I was well-rounded. He chuckles, but I can see something in his eyes that makes my chest hurt. I always enjoyed it, and it wasn't until I went to college that I realized how many kids never had that opportunity. It's a way to give back, I guess, and remember my mother. I fight to control my expression. What happened to her? My mother. Eli raises his eyebrows at me, almost as if he's surprised I mentioned it. Cancer. Eli presses his lips together and gazes over the crowd. We had all the best doctors, drug trials, research. My father sent her all over the world, but there was nothing we could do. I'm sorry, I say, and nudge his shoulder. What about you? Where are your parents? Eli asks me, trying to change the subject. Now, it's my turn to look at the crowd. My father died in an accident when I was a baby, so I don't remember anything about him. My mom was on her own raising me and my sister. I turn my eyes back to him and see a look on his face that I can't quite understand. What does she do? Eli asks. She works for a maid service. She actually manages a team now, so she's doing a lot better than before, but she's always had to work hard. I say, shifting in my seat. I could talk to my family, Eli says, and I have to fight to keep my expression neutral. We would probably pay a lot more for services like that than most. Heat rages through me. I clench my jaw, but wait a beat before responding. The arrogant rich kid thinks he can somehow save my family like we're some sort of charity case, when it's his twisted family that put us here in the first place. She'd never go for switching jobs, I say with a forced smile. She's been with this company for over 15 years, and they've always treated her well. It's just hard work, just something to think about. Eli shrugs. Besides, she lives in Portland. She would never move to Montcove. I continue. Oregon or Maine? Eli's lips curl into a soft smile. Oregon. Wow. Eli answers with a lift of his eyebrows. How'd you end up all the way over here? Shit, I hadn't thought about that. Ah, a young man's angst is probably the best answer. Most of the colleges I applied to were on the East Coast. The lie rolls easily off my tongue. Eli laughs and rolls his eyes. If it had been my choice, I would have ended up on the opposite coast, too. He claps my back, and I relax a little. But all the Carbones for the last umpteen generations went to Valmont, so here I am. A weight seems to settle on his shoulders. Well, I suppose I wouldn't have met you then, I say, trying to shift the conversation back to the present. His eyes meet mine, and I feel a wave of genuine affection coming from him. My heart actually aches for him. His family may be evil, but it's not like he was given a choice who his family is. What do you say we go see if we can buy some art? He says as he stands up from the bench. I'm game, I say with a smile. We spend the next couple of hours perusing the tables of local artists, and I have to admit I enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. Eli converses with the artists and talks about their processes and inspirations. He's very knowledgeable, but that shouldn't be surprising with his privileged upbringing. He points out a few more members of his family, who I carefully tuck into the back of my mind. Later, we have dinner at one of the Italian restaurants in the district, and it's amazing. Of course, Eli insists on paying for me, which is annoying given the conversation we had earlier. Maybe I'm just being sensitive, but it's infuriating to feel like Eli's pet project. It's fine, though. I might as well let him burn some of his wealth on little old me. At least, that's the excuse I give myself. Somehow we end up back in my apartment. I'm grateful that I'm so methodical in what I do with the evidence I gather that it's all locked away. My tiny studio shouldn't exactly come as a surprise to Eli given what he just learned about my financial background. I grind my teeth at the thought. Still, I do a quick sweep of the place as we enter to make sure there's nothing lying around that could give me away. I turn back to Eli as he closes the door, my chest tightening in anticipation for his assessment of my living situation. This is probably only going to solidify his desire to be charitable. Eli looks around the room, taking in the brick walls and limited space. And when he turns back to me, his eyes are full of something I don't recognize. I like this place, he says, almost as though it surprises him as much as it does me. It feels safe. I blink a few times in response. I haven't the slightest idea what he means by that. I'm sorry, Eli says as he takes my hand. Sorry for what? I finally managed to say. I know it probably comes across as pompous, but I really like this place. Maybe it's the company that's biasing my opinion, but I feel more comfortable here than any of the places I usually stay. His eyes search mine. I don't understand, I guess, I respond, averting my gaze. I wish I could explain it better without sounding like an ass, so just take my word for it. I like this place, he says, pulling me closer. I focus on his eyes, how the sharp green contrasts with his olive skin. His loose curls dip just below his brow. I reach up and slide one of his locks away from his eyes. In spite of his arrogance, in spite of his naivete, he's beautiful. His strong jaw ticks in response to my touch, and conflicting emotions thrash in my mind as his eyes flicker to my lips when I wet them. He takes my jaw in his hand and traces his fingers along my cheek, which has become rough with stubble. He drags his fingers along my jaw, wraps them around the back of my neck, and pulls me closer. Unlike the rough, fevered kisses we've shared before, he moves slowly, gently, as he presses his warm lips to mine. I close my eyes and relax into the kiss. The walls holding my emotions at bay crumble. He pulls back and looks at me. His sharp green eyes tighten at my expression. I can see the guilt and conflict battling within him. He knows that whatever this is between us, it can't be simple. We pull apart, breathless and unsettled. It isn't possible for him to be involved in his family's business without knowing how they hurt people. And yet here he is, and here I am, and the line between us keeps blurring. You're so fucking sexy, I whisper against his ear, then pull back, trying to build some emotional distance between us even as my body resists. The air between us crackles with all the things we aren't saying. We stay up late, talking and circling around the truth of what's happening between us. Eventually the night gets too heavy to carry, and when Eli finally leaves, I stand at my door wondering how long I can do this before something shatters.
Chapter 4. Eli. I lie on the bed, a strange mix of emotions churning inside me. I've had encounters with men before, but this is different. Noah is different. The pull I feel toward him is unlike anything I've experienced, and it terrifies me. I'm slightly unnerved by how close I've let him get. He handled everything with such certainty, like a man who knows exactly who he is and what he wants. A nagging sensation tugs at the back of my mind. Is this all I am to him, just another connection, another in to get close to people like my family? He doesn't seem like the type, but I barely know him. Noah walks out of the bathroom looking at ease in a way that sets my pulse racing. His eyes narrow as they settle on me. Are you alright? He asks gently. I give him a weak smile. Better than alright, I murmur, and he seems to relax. Noah, I start, but then stop myself and shake my head. What is it? He asks as he steps closer. Never mind, I say quickly. I need a moment to collect myself. I go into the bathroom and turn the water on. I need to think. I can't be in a relationship with a man. That's not something my family will accept, and they're more likely to end me in some accident than allow me to tarnish the family name. They already have me set to marry a Moretti girl once I graduate, like some fucking feudal lord. It's a match that makes sense for the family. How the hell am I supposed to explain that to Noah? especially after what we've shared. I can't even pretend he's not what I want. But what am I supposed to do? Convince him to be my secret lover? I know how ridiculous that sounds. Maybe I can run away with him across the country. That would be a tempting idea if it wasn't completely asinine. We barely know each other. When I push through the bathroom door, I'm greeted by the aroma of brewing coffee. I made some coffee, Noah says as I walk into the room. Thanks, that sounds great, I answer as I gather my clothes. He's wearing sweatpants and a loose shirt, and there's something disarmingly real about him in this moment. I put my clothes back on and sit in his desk chair. Eli, are you alright? Did I hurt you? He asks. Concern is written all over his face, and my heart twists in my chest. No, Noah, not at all, I say. What is it? He asks, narrowing his eyes at me. I have some very strong, very unfamiliar feelings about you, and I need to know what you think of me. I cringe inwardly. I sound so fucking pathetic. I'm not sure how you expect me to answer that, Noah answers with a shake of his head, but his posture visibly loosens. I mean, I like you, obviously. Well, with who I am, and who my family is, relationships come with a lot of complications, I say as I avert my gaze, but I catch his eyebrows shoot almost through his hairline. I don't know that we're really ready for this conversation, he says, eyeing me curiously. I can't. I pause and bite my lip. Can't what? He asks. I can't appear to be involved with someone like you. This is it. This is the truth, and it's all I have. Like me. Noah narrows his eyes at me and presses his lips together. Because I'm a. He trails off. He's going to make me say it. Because you're a man, I snap, more harshly than I intended. Oh. Noah stifles a chuckle, and I glare at him. Sorry. I really wasn't sure where that was going. My family wouldn't approve, and I'm not in a position to cross them. It would put both of us in danger, I say. Eli, it's okay, he says as he crosses the room to hand me a warm cup of coffee. It's not okay, I say, struggling to keep my voice even. Well, no, it's not, but I understand. He presses his lips together and puts a hand on my shoulder. You're dealing with something that's bigger than you, that's bigger than our taking offense to prejudices against who we are. It sucks, yeah, but I won't hold that against you. Relief washes through me. I'm glad you understand, I say, and look up at him. I don't exactly walk around proclaiming my sexuality, so we can keep this low-key, Noah says with a shrug, and it almost feels like he's also relieved, which pings my paranoia. I'm not sure what to say. I take his hand and bring it to my lips. We'll figure it out as we go, Noah says with a smile. My heart swells, so much it might burst. Yeah, I answer, and take a sip of my coffee. I'm trying to keep my shit together, but it's been almost a week since I've had the chance to hang out with Noah for more than the occasional lunch at Valmont. I'm worried about how tonight will go. I'm taking him to a family dinner at the Carbone house, which has always worked for the girls I'm trying to impress, but Noah has never been under the spell of my family's money. If anything, it seems to put distance between us. I've tried explaining, so many times, that I don't care about his upbringing, but it still seems to bother him. I'm hoping tonight I can show him that all families are fucked up in some way or another, and just because we come from different backgrounds doesn't mean we can't be close. I don't know why this is so important to me. It's not like we have a real future together. My life is always going to be tied to the Carbones, and they'll never accept us. That doesn't bother me so much as how Noah feels about it. As far as personal relationships go, all I care about is Noah. The rest is just business. I can't imagine that's how he wants to live his life, always hiding in the shadows and pretending we're just friends. Hell, maybe the best thing that could happen tonight is that he realizes how things are in my family and decides to just go back home and forget about me. I shake my head. What a bunch of self-deprecating drivel. Noah will make his own choices, and hopefully one of them will be me. I look up as he walks through the doors. He's wearing the same black suit that takes my breath away, though this time he's paired it with an ice blue silk shirt that drapes beautifully over his solid chest. His expression is cool and confident, almost bored. Noah, I call, trying to look as calm and collected as he does. Ready? He nods, the corner of his lip curling into the half-smile I've come to find sexy as hell. We head out to the garage and climb into my Bentley. Once we're safely tucked behind the tinted windows, Noah reaches over and takes my hand. I wet my lips and look over at him, his dark, mysterious eyes drawing me closer. I bring his hand to my lips, then scrape my teeth across his knuckles, which brings a sultry grin to his face. We have to be careful tonight. The family will be looking for any reason to question my credibility, I say, dropping his hand back into my lap. You already told me that, he says with a slight smile. Which makes me question your judgment in bringing me along. He lifts his eyebrows. I've been questioning that myself, I say. I turn his hand over and place it against my thigh, and he gives it a slight squeeze. I've come up with a lot of excuses, like maybe you could give us contacts in Oregon. But if I'm being honest, I just feel better when you're around. That's sweet, but it doesn't really solve our problem, Noah chuckles. I won't be able to stay away from him, I admit softly, and he squeezes my hand again, acknowledging what I can't quite say aloud. I question whether we have time for this closeness here in the car, but showing up late to dinner will only raise questions about Noah, so against all my desires, I pull away from him and start the engine. He takes the hint and relaxes back into his seat. The look on his face mirrors my frustration, but we have to focus on the night ahead. Once we arrive at the Carbone estate, his demeanor changes. He keeps his spine straight as we walk to the doors, and I have to fight to keep him at arm's length. I don't think the family would ever hurt me, but I know better than to believe they wouldn't come after Noah. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something happened to him because I couldn't keep my hands to myself. Buenos Aires, my father greets us as we walk into the grand entranceway. He's descending the staircase with Esmeralda, who appears bored. She won't last much longer. Good to see you, father, I say. He comes over and clasps my hand, then turns to Noah. It's good to see you again. Remind me of your name. My father firmly shakes Noah's hand. Noah, he says with a deferential dip of his chin. Nice to see you too, sir. My father's eyes tighten on Noah's face. You have interesting eyes, my father notes almost casually. It takes all my willpower not to pull Noah away from him. Thank you, Noah answers with a slight smirk. Come, let's eat, father says with a lift of his chin. He leads us into the dining room, where my aunt and uncle are already seated with his two sons on either side of them. My father takes his place and I take the seat next to Esmeralda. I notice a bruise on her wrist that she's tried to cover with makeup and my chest tightens. Noah sits next to me and taps my knee with his underneath the table, which distracts me from my anger. We just have to get through tonight. I really shouldn't have brought Noah into this. A group of servants brings out appetizers, but before anyone can begin eating my uncle taps on his water glass. I'd like to make a toast, Uncle Johnny says. As the head of the Carbone family, he instantly has everyone's attention. We all reach for our glasses and wait. The future of the Carbones is here at this table tonight, and I want to acknowledge this. My son will be graduating this year and heading for Valmont soon. I ask that you, Eli, do as your brothers and cousins have before you and make him feel welcome. Of course, uncle, I say, and my father turns to smile at me, but it's not genuine, and neither is my response. Salute, Uncle Johnny says, and we all repeat it before bringing our glasses to our lips. Noah Andriotta, yes. My uncle turns his attention to Noah. That's correct, Noah answers with that perfectly placed dip of his chin. We haven't been formally introduced. I'm Johnny Carbone. Your reputation speaks for itself, Noah answers. I catch the slight tightening of his eyes. Good things, I hope, Uncle Johnny says with a chuckle. Of course, Noah says with a smile that looks so genuine it almost fools me. You run a lot of businesses here, and you're quite obviously doing well. Ah, so you understand, Uncle Johnny says with a smooth curl of his lips. I don't suppose I know any Andriottas. Where is your family? Noah's family is from the West Coast, I answer for him. I feel Noah tense next to me, but I don't look at him. Portland. Well, that would explain it, my uncle says. I've heard you and my nephew have become quite close. I suppose you could say that, Noah answers with a chuckle. Eli has been very kind to me as a newcomer on campus and in the city. He's really helped me learn how to navigate Montcove. I can understand that, my uncle says. Despite its size, Montcove has something of a small town mentality. It can be hard for outsiders to get acclimated. It's been a bit challenging, I admit, Noah says with a chuckle, either oblivious to or ignoring the challenge in Johnny's words. I want nothing more than to leave right now, but I know that will only make things worse for Noah. This was a huge mistake. I've painted a giant target on his back. I focus on steadying my breathing as my chest tightens. My uncle turns his attention to my father, and they begin discussing different parts of the more legitimate businesses they oversee in Montcove, giving me precious space to breathe. Thankfully, Noah is mostly ignored for the rest of dinner, and by the time the night winds down, I'm all too eager to get the hell out of here. Well, that was intense, Noah says when we're safely in the car again. You're telling me, I answer as I start the car. I want to show you something. Okay. Noah says slowly as I pull out of the circular drive. It's a secret. No one in the family knows about it, I say with a smile. Mysterious, Noah murmurs as we drive away. A few minutes later I pull into a garage for an apartment building in Old Harbor. Noah follows me into the building. The crumbling stucco is a sharp contrast to everything I've shown Noah about my life so far. We take the stairs, since I can't bring myself to trust the elevator, all the way up to the third floor, where I produce a key to one of the apartment doors. I push open the door and gesture for Noah to walk through. He steps into the apartment and looks around. It's similar to his apartment back in the college district, but in somewhat rougher shape. This is your big secret? He asks as he turns to me with raised eyebrows. Yes, I say with a huff. My family would lose their minds if they knew I was slumming it down here. Noah furrows his brows at me in confusion. This is where I hide, I say, and I can see the realization dawn in Noah's expression. No one knows who I am here, and no one gives me a second glance. You don't get into anyone's business in Old Harbor, not if you value your skin. Why are you showing me this? Noah asks. You're the only person who knows I have this place. Even the landlord is me listed under an alias, I say, then look up at him. I'm sorry about tonight. I don't know what I was thinking. Noah moves across the small room and presses his lips to mine. The kiss is fierce and urgent, carrying all the weight of the night, the danger of the family dinner, the secrets between us, the feelings neither of us know what to do with. He pulls me closer, and I let myself fall into his arms, forgetting for a moment all the reasons this is complicated. Eventually, breathless and shaken, we pull apart. I've never felt this kind of connection before. I've never let someone in so completely. As we hold each other in the dim quiet of my secret apartment, I realize I'm falling in love with Noah Andriotta.
Chapter 5. Noah. Leaving Eli's secret apartment this morning was much harder than I anticipated. I'd hoped that going to the family function with him last night would reinforce why I'm spending time with him in the first place. And while it did give me the chance to look into the eyes of the man responsible for my family's hardships, I'm having a much harder time controlling my feelings when it comes to Eli. Yes, his family's awful, but Eli is not. I glance around as I wait by the docks in Old Harbor. The fact that Eli has an apartment here makes me much more nervous. If he finds me out here, he may just kill me, or have his family do it. Finally, Detective Rossi pulls up in his beat-up sedan. I quickly hop into the passenger seat. "What have you got for me, kid?" Rossi asks. His silver-streaked hair is gelled to his scalp, and I can see my reflection in his sunglasses. I intend to tell him about Eli's apartment and try to set up a different meeting space, but something stops me. "Well," Rossi asks roughly. "Here, this is what I've learned so far." I tell him as I hand him my notebook. I don't think there's much we can do with it legally, since most of it's hearsay. Hearsay will get you further than you think when it's a cop's word against a bunch of thugs. Rossi grumbles as he thumbs through my handwritten notes. "I don't want to bank on that, though," I say carefully. "I don't want him to know how badly I've compromised this mission." "I guess so," Rossi says. "I've been fighting for so long to bring these guys down. It's hard to stay patient." "I get that," I answer. "It's the truth. I've been waiting for this my whole life." From what I gathered at the dinner last night, there are a few meetings happening soon. They were pretty cryptic about it, but I believe I have the details in here. I take the notebook and flip to the last page, where I detail the conversations I overheard at the table last night. "This is good work, kid. I know it's got to be hard spending all your time with a scumbag like Eli Carbone," Rossi says as he takes pictures of my notebook with his phone. I fight the urge to defend Eli to this man. It wouldn't do any good anyway, and would likely get me pulled from the operation. So I just shrug in response. "It'll be worth it in the end, trust me," Rossi says, and I look down at my hands. Rossi cuts his eyes over to me beneath his glasses. "Don't get attached, kid. Remember who we're dealing with." Anger roils in my stomach. "You think I could forget?" I snap, more harshly than I intended. "Easy, Sorrento. I know what it's like to be undercover," he says with a glare. Sorrento is my legal name, the one given to us when we went into witness protection, and it grates on my nerves. Focus on the end game. That's the only way to get through. I cut my eyes over to him, my lips pressed tight. "I've got this," I growl through clenched teeth. "I know you do," Rossi says with a shrug. Get back to school. I huff as I open the door and get out. Rossi can be such a condescending asshole. He's not wrong, though. I'm letting my feelings for Eli cloud my judgment. Even if he is innocent, there are always casualties like my mother. Rossi speeds away, the busted-up Honda creaking and clanking into the distance. I pull out my phone and call a cab. They're harder to find here in Old Harbor. I keep my eyes open as I wait, and I notice a familiar face on the corner, but before I can get a good look, the person is gone. I must be getting jumpy. The cab finally arrives and takes me back to my apartment. I glance around again, the flash of a person in Old Harbor like an itch in my brain. Across the street, I see someone, and I'm almost sure it's Eli's father. A university bus passes between us, and then he's gone. I shake my head. I must be getting paranoid. I can't let this get to me so much, or I'm going to lose my mind, or at least my nerve. As I swipe my card to let me into the main entrance, I think I see his reflection in the window. I spin around, but no one is there. I must be losing it. I quickly open the door and get inside. When I turn to look back out through the glass, there's nothing out of the ordinary. I pull out my phone to call Rossi. Eli's father made that comment about my eyes, which I've been told I inherited from my father. Is it possible he recognized me? Surely not. That was almost 20 years ago. I step into the elevator and look down at my phone. When I exit the elevator on my floor, though, I've changed my mind. I press the button to make another call. Eli answers after the second ring. Hey, I saw something strange and got a little spooked. What are you doing? I tell him quickly. What happened? The worry in his voice is palpable. I quickly relay what I think I saw, though I tell him that I was grabbing lunch on campus rather than talking to my handler in Old Harbor. The line is quiet for a moment as Eli considers what I've said. I'll be there in a minute, he says, and ends the call. That's probably not smart either, but I feel relieved. I quickly empty my pockets and put everything potentially incriminating, including my sidearm, back into my safe and make sure it's hidden. I've given Rossi my notebook, so I don't have to worry about that until I start a new one. I stare at my phone for a few seconds and debate calling him anyway, but I don't. Even if there's not a real threat, he'd probably pull me out. He still looks at me like I'm a dumb teenager, and I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm going to screw this up. I won't give him the satisfaction of being right. I get up and start pacing the small room while I wait for Eli. I consider all the possible implications. Most likely I'm just being paranoid, saw someone of Italian descent, and jumped to the conclusion that it was the Carbones out to get me. Especially the first sighting in Old Harbor. Even if the second one was Eli's father, it would only make sense for the family to check up on me since I've become so close to him. As long as I maintain my cover and act normal, it shouldn't be a problem. Worst case, my cover's blown and they'll fabricate an accident to make sure I can't talk. I'd be willing to take that risk for the sake of the operation, but my mom and sister would be devastated if anything happened to me. I hear a soft knock on my door. I glance through the peephole and make sure it's Eli before I open it. He quickly pushes through and looks around my apartment, like he's expecting someone in his family to already be inside. You okay? He asks when he finally focuses on me. Yeah, I think I'm just being paranoid, I say with a casual shrug. Eli's bright green eyes narrow at me. I'm glad you're here, though. I would say I'm flattered, but I don't think I believe you, Eli says with a smirk. That's all it is. I just wanted to see you. I joke, but it falls flat. Eli sees right through me, and I have to remind myself that's not a good thing. Noah, don't bullshit me, Eli says. What's that? I pull Eli's leather jacket aside to reveal a .45 caliber pistol mostly concealed at his hip. Maybe I was spooked too, Eli says, his shoulders relaxing. Maybe, I kid, but the sight of the gun strapped to his belt gives me pause. Do you know how to use one of those? Eli quirks an eyebrow at me. Why do you ask? Just curious. I shrug. Do you? Eli challenges. I debate how to answer the question. I don't want to give him any reason to suspect I'm a cop, but I'm having trouble resisting giving him just a bit of the truth. I've been known to handle myself on a range, I say with a smirk. Eli unhooks the pistol from his belt and sets it on my desk. The comfort with which he handles it sets my pulse racing. He crosses the room and grabs my shoulders. What the hell happened? I look up into his eyes, and the concern shining in them melts me. I shake my head. Eli isn't one of them. He can't be. I tell him again what I thought I saw, and despite how many times I try to brush it off, He believes me. He's worried for me. Suddenly, I feel vulnerable, almost raw. I just want to stay here with Eli. I don't want to face the outside world. I don't want to face my operation. I don't want to face his family. I just want to exist right here and now with him. We move across the little room and sit on the edge of my bed. I'm all right, Eli. I say, trying to convince both of us. I'm going to make sure you stay that way. Eli says with heated conviction, I shouldn't have brought you to the house last night. That was bad judgment on my part, and I'm afraid I made you a target. It's okay, I say, but he cuts me off. You're probably right, and they're just checking up on you, but I don't trust them. They act first and ask questions later. If they think you're going to be a distraction, His voice breaks and my heart twists. Eli, I bring my hand to his face and force him to look up at me. I'm here. I'm okay. Fuck, I wish I could just. Eli starts and leans his cheek into my palm. Could what? I ask, my pulse hammering in my ears. Could just leave, he says, and my heart splits in two. I wish I could just walk away from the Carbones. My world tilts on its axis. He may share their name, but he's not one of them. I've known it this whole time. My mind scrambles for purchase. I can't let him get hurt. I take a deep, slow breath. I should just tell him, come clean right now, and we can figure out a way to end this together, but the words won't come. I'm scared to hurt him like that. If he finds out who I am, he'll never trust me again, and I'll lose both him and the operation. I close my mouth and pull him close. He rests his head on my shoulder, and tears sting my eyes. I pull back to look at him, his sharp jaw, the perfect curls, those gorgeous green eyes so filled with pain and regret. I run my finger across his brow, all the way down to his jaw. Eli, I whisper. Then he presses his lips to mine. It's a slow, sweet kiss, filled with longing and desire, fear and disappointment, lust and heartbreak. I slip my tongue through his lips and curl it around his, deepening the kiss, the connection. He moves his hands to cup my face, pulling me closer and kissing me harder. We stay wrapped in each other, desperate and tender at once, knowing this thing between us is bigger than either of us knows how to hold. When we finally part, both breathless, there's something unspoken hanging in the air, something that feels a lot like love and a lot like danger. We shower and dress and venture into the world because neither of us can hide forever. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. A little while later, we're back at the fraternity house, and I'm listening to Eli talk to the other members, maintaining a respectable distance as we eat steaks prepared by the on-call chef. I'm so engrossed in the food that I almost miss when a woman comes in and plants herself right in Eli's lap. His eyes shoot to mine, but I school my expression into complete neutrality. Well, hello to you too, Sasha, Eli says. He tries to play off his discomfort as surprise, but I can see right through it. I've missed you, she says with a giggle. The sound is like nails on a chalkboard. I've been around, Eli says with a wave of his hand. He shifts himself, so she can't possibly be comfortable, but she doesn't take the hint. No, you haven't. I've been looking for you for like 2 weeks, she whines. I even talked to your dad. Eli stiffens, and my senses are suddenly on high alert. Oh, calm down. He just wants us to make time for each other, she says, and squirms into a more intimate position. I focus on my breathing. I've been busy, Sasha, Eli says, still trying to play it cool, but failing spectacularly. My father made us reservations at Moretti's tomorrow night, she continues, oblivious to Eli's discomfort. I can't imagine that's difficult, since he owns the place. Eli grumbles as Sasha finally removes herself from his lap. More difficult than you'd think. We're booked solid for months, she says. Tomorrow at 8. Your dad assured us you'll be there. My father doesn't make my plans for me, Eli answers. His eyes dart back over to me, but I pretend not to notice. Well, they're both going to be upset if you bail, she says with a pout. I look back and forth between the two of them. There's obviously something more to this than I'm seeing, but I can't exactly just ask him. It bothers me a lot more than it should that Eli is being forced to go on a date, and with a Moretti at that. I don't know much about the Morettis other than they're a rival family here in the Northeast. I'll be there, Eli says with a wave of dismissal. I really want to drill him about this, but this is neither the time or place, and since this woman is connected, I have to be careful not to blow my or Eli's, cover right now. I try to catch his eye, but he keeps his gaze averted. I can see the frustration on his face. I stand up and stretch, yawning loudly. I'm going to head home. I'll see you later, I say to Eli. He gives me a pleading look, but I can't stay here, not if he wants to keep us secret. Eli nods curtly, and I leave the room, forcing one foot in front of the other. I make the short walk back to my apartment and lean on the door as soon as it's closed behind me. I have to get it together. I'm about to screw up everything because I'm catching feelings for a man who isn't available, no matter how bad he wants to be. I grab a fresh notebook and start scribbling notes. This Moretti angle changes things, and I wish I knew what it was all about. I keep writing until my eyes become heavy. I lay down on my bed, missing Eli's warmth. I pick up my phone and stare at it for a while. The best option for me right now is to call Rossi and end this whole operation. I could just disappear. Eli would believe I just flaked out, and no one would get hurt because of me. I regret ever taking this assignment. My phone buzzes in my hand, and I almost jump out of my skin. It's a text from Eli. Sorry about that. About what? He knows that response is bullshit, but what else can I say? The last thing I want to do is go out with Sasha, but there's a lot of pressure on me. Can we talk? I stare at the text for a while before answering. If I talk to him, I'll just end up further down this rabbit hole. I understand family and all that. I hit send. God, I'm an asshole. I'm about to fall asleep. We'll talk tomorrow. Okay, that's it. That's all I get. And for some reason, it pisses me off. It was stupid of me to think there could be anything more to us than what we are. We're the real-life equivalent of mortal enemies on opposite sides of a war. It feels like a chasm has opened up beneath me. I'm sorry, Eli. I say aloud to the empty room. This is so stupid. I've fallen in love with Eli Carbone.
Chapter 6. Eli. I stare at my phone. This could not have gone worse, and obviously Noah is angry. He knew what he was getting into, though. He knew I wasn't going to be his boyfriend, at least not openly. So why does his iciness hurt so damn much? I could call him anyway and try to explain, but what good would that do? What would I tell him? That I really want to be with him, and even though I never can, I still want him, but I feel really bad about it. Distance is probably the best thing for both of us. I just hope that Noah has much more self-control than I do, because if he calls me I'll pick up. I won't be able to resist him. This is all so fucked up. I've always felt a certain kind of way about the expectations of being a Carbone, but I've never felt this trapped. What's the big deal anyway? Maybe I should just roll with it and see what happens. Maybe I should just tell them I'm falling in love with a man who isn't rich and connected, a man who cares about me as a person, not just as a Carbone. I'm sure that will go over well in this world of arranged marriages and political mafia bullshit. My phone buzzes on the table and I practically dive for it. But it's just Sasha Moretti confirming our fucking date tomorrow night. I throw the phone back down, disgusted with myself. My phone buzzes again, a phone call this time. It's my uncle's face on the caller ID. Fuck. I pick it up. Uncle Johnny, how are you? I say through clenched teeth. I know better than to ignore his calls. I'm well, Eli. How are your classes? He asks cordially, though we both know he doesn't give two shits. They're good. What can I do for you? I ask, dreading the answer. I heard you spoke with Sasha about tomorrow night, he says. Yes, I did, I answer warily. Good. You two should spend more time together. I need to know that you're a good fit before we move forward with any family negotiations, he says. Of course, I answer despite my growing nausea. However, that's not why I called, he continues, and my heart does a backflip. I'm listening, I say. Meet me at the house in 20 minutes. I'll be there. Good. He ends the call and I take a deep breath. I don't know what he wants, but I do know that there's a substantial deal coming through the harbor soon, and Johnny has expressed interest in me taking over some of the shipping contracts, which is something I would have jumped at the opportunity for only a few days ago. Now I just have a sinking feeling in my stomach. But Johnny Carbone isn't someone I can refuse. I get up and get dressed in a smart navy suit and tie. I glance at my phone for a second and contemplate texting Noah, but I think better of it and shove it into my pocket. I do my best to avoid everyone as I make my way out of the house. My mind is already spinning. I don't need any more distractions. A few minutes later I'm standing in front of both my father and my uncle at the Carbone estate. Uncle Johnny is sitting at his desk with a tumbler of scotch and a massive cigar that's thankfully unlit. Unlike most of the men in my family, the smell of those things makes me want to vomit. My father sits in an overstuffed chair in front of him, but I wait until I'm given permission before taking a seat. "Good to see you, son," my father says, and I acknowledge him with a nod. "Good man, Eli," Uncle Johnny says in greeting. "I'm glad you made it up here." "Of course, uncle," I say, keeping my voice even. "Do you need to check that?" My uncle asks as my phone buzzes, his eyes narrowed on me. "I'm sure it can wait. It's probably just one of the fraternity brothers. Or your friend, Noah, what was it? Andriotta?" My father says. "Yes, that's correct," I answer, my pulse spiking. I wish they weren't taking such an interest in him. It's my fault for bringing him to not one, but two family events. "Let's get to why I ask you here," Uncle Johnny says. "There's a shipment coming in from Moscow through our Greek channels, and I want you to be there to oversee it tomorrow night." I narrow my eyes at him. He's already mentioned my date tomorrow, so I doubt he wants me to miss that. "Don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to make sure Sasha Moretti gets home safely. The shipment won't arrive until midnight. I've assigned you a team to make sure it's all unloaded quickly," Johnny continues. "Why do I need to be there?" I ask. "Two reasons," my father answers for him. "One, we want you to become recognizable to the dock workers and security, like your cousins are." My father trains his gaze on me. "And two, some of these shipments have been turning up a little light, and we want to know why. Do you have an idea of what I should be looking out for?" I ask. The next half hour is spent covering logistics and theories about who might be stealing our product. The Carbones have figured out a way to smuggle in rare earth metals so that the Russians can avoid tariffs and customs. Often there are even less legal things in the containers. Pharmaceuticals, weapons, occasionally even immigrants. Though I'm told that these women come to the United States by choice, I can't help but wonder how much of a choice they really have. When I'm finally able to leave, I can't get my emotions under control. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have anything to do with any of this, which is something I've never felt before. This feeling is simply not acceptable as a Carbone. I have 100 cousins and second cousins and other extended relatives who would literally kill to be in my position. So why am I so bent over this? I finally glance at my phone and my heart sinks even more. Of course the messages weren't from Noah. It was Reese asking about something for the frat. I shake my head and drive to my secret apartment. It'll be a good place to hide for a while. The next evening I'm clenching my teeth just to get through dinner at Moretti's. Sasha's not a horrible person, but she absolutely buys into her lifestyle. She carries herself like she's some sort of royalty, and I know I'm a giant hypocrite for judging her for it. But I don't care. She has no right to act like she's doing me a favor by showing up for this date I never wanted. Apparently, she has plenty of clout among the Morettis. All of the wait staff bend to her demands and treat her with deference. I can't help but wonder if that's what Noah sees when he's with me. If so, it's not nearly as impressive as I once thought. I check my phone for about the 3,000th time tonight. I still haven't heard from him. As the evening wears on, she finishes a bottle of expensive Merlot, which only makes her even more obnoxious. As 10 o'clock approaches, I try to wrap up the night, but she makes it difficult. "Why don't we take this back to my apartment?" she asks as she bats her lashes. "Sorry, Sasha, I have business to attend to tonight," I say. She leans against me as we walk toward the door. "Are you really turning down an overnight invitation from Sasha Moretti?" she asks. "Maybe another time, yeah," I say as I usher her into the passenger seat of my car. "Well, I might just have to call someone else, then," she says in a weirdly playful manner. She pulls out her phone and wags it at me, but I just close her door. Once I reach the other side of the car, she's pouting in the seat with her arms folded. "Sasha, I told you, I have family business tonight," I say, fighting to keep my composure. "Yeah, whatever, family." She pouts and looks pointedly out her window. I don't respond as I start driving toward her apartment. We pull up to her building and I put the Bentley in park. Being a gentleman is expected of me, and I can't imagine the repercussions of allowing Sasha Moretti to walk across the parking lot alone, so I get out and walk around to open her door. She doesn't look at me as we climb the outside stairs to her apartment. "Good night, Sasha," I say, and turn away from her. "Wait," she says, fumbling with her keys. I make the mistake of turning back to her. She wraps her arms around my neck and kisses me. I manage to disentangle myself before she can take it any further. "I have to go, Sasha," I say firmly, pushing her arms back down to her sides. "Of course you do," she says, her eyes full of venom. I've heard you're not even interested in women, and nothing I have seen tonight counteracts that rumor. She leans against her door. Anger mixed with revulsion flares through me, but I keep my expression neutral. She tries to pull me against her again, but I step back and press her shoulders firmly against her door. I have to go, I say. My mind is somewhere else entirely, somewhere that has nothing to do with Sasha Moretti. You'll be back, Sasha says with a wink and turns to open her door. Once it's shut behind her, I make my way back to my car. Against my better judgment, I turn toward Noah's apartment. He hasn't tried to contact me and I have to get to the docks, but I have to see him. I have to talk to him. I pull up to his building and get out of my car. I press the call button for his apartment, but he doesn't answer. His car, a very dull Toyota Camry, is in its base, which means he must be home. I press the button again. Nothing. I shake my head and take a step back to look up at his window. Eli. I hear his voice directly in front of me. I jerk my head down to see him pushing through the doors. What are you doing here? Is everything alright? My flailing mind struggles to catch up. I look like hell, I know it, there's lipstick smeared across my face, and my shirt is untucked. I must look like I just rolled out of some woman's bed. Are you going somewhere? I ask and notice he's in workout gear. I couldn't sleep. I was going for a run, he says as he takes a step closer to me. Concern is written all over his face. At midnight. Yeah, at midnight, he says through clenched teeth. Is that a problem? Looks more like you're going to meet up with someone, I say. I don't know why. It's like something just broke inside me. His whole body tenses. Looks like you already did, he shoots back, glancing at the lipstick on my face. My shoulders droop and I finally gather what's left of my senses. I'm sorry, Noah, I say without looking at him. For what? He asks. His voice is tight and his fists are clenched. Can you ride with me? I can explain, I say. I look up at him. His eyes are narrowed as they search my face. Where are you going? He asks. I have to be at the docks in about 40 minutes, I answer quickly. Please, just come with me so we can talk. He looks at me, his dark eyes assessing. I don't know how I'll react if he says no. Okay, he says, and my heart skips a beat. Okay? I ask, making sure I heard him correctly. Okay, let's go, he says, and takes a step toward my car. I struggle to keep a stupid fucking grin off my face as I walk to the driver's side and slide into my seat. We're barely out of the parking lot before all my emotions bubble over and I start talking. I tell him about the awful date with Sasha and her unwelcome advances. Thankfully his shoulders finally start to relax as I explain the must clothes and lipstick. Then I proceed to tell him about everything I've felt about the family, about having to hide who I am and how I feel so trapped. Why don't you leave, Eli? Noah asks me, and the question feels so simple, so innocent. It's not that simple, Noah. I can't just walk away, I answer as I pull up to the docks. I guess I just don't understand, he mutters, mostly to himself. It's complicated, I say as I shut off the car and turn to him. I really shouldn't have brought you here. If my uncle finds out, he'll kill us both. The gravity of the situation starts to weigh on me. What do you need me to do? Noah asks as he takes my hand. Wait here for me and try to stay out of sight, I say, and bring his fingers to my lips. He nods and I glance at the clock. I need to be in there in less than 5 minutes. I'm cutting this way too close. I'll be back soon, I say, then step out of the car before I can change my mind. My uncle might shoot us both if he knew I brought Noah here, but my death will be much slower and more painful if I don't show it all. I weave my way through the maze of containers until I get to the one that belongs to the Carbones. Several of my cousins are already there with hand trucks, ready to load the cargo onto several larger box trucks. I step up to speak to the security guard who's questioning my waiting men. I straighten my shoulders and put on an air of confidence as I approach. You must be Officer Riley, I say, putting out my hand. I'm Eli Carbone. Mr. Carbone, he says. I was expecting someone older. Most people do, I answer, and drop his hand. We've got this from here. I jerk my head to let him know he needs to find somewhere else to be. He presses his lips together, but takes the cue and leaves. I go up to the container and take the manifest, looking over it before cutting through the seal on the doors. I open them and quickly scan what's inside. It takes almost an hour to unload the cargo, but from what I can tell there's nothing missing, which only solidifies Uncle Johnny's theory that someone in our family has been skimming the cargo. That's not good for us. Right now I just want to get back to Noah. I make my way back to the Bentley. Thankfully I can't see anything through the tinted windows, though that momentarily makes me panic that he's left. I open the door, startling Noah out of his doze in the passenger seat. "You're back?" he asks, his voice thick from sleep. "Yeah, I'm done. For tonight, anyway," I say, and place my hand on his thigh. "Noah, I'm sorry about tonight," I say. He rolls his shoulders and turns toward me. "There's nothing to apologize for, Eli," he says. "I've been a mess since yesterday, too. What time is it, anyway?" "Almost 2, I say with a chuckle. "I think we may both be in a bit over our heads here," Noah says. My heart plummets. He's about to tell me to fuck off, I can feel it. He takes my hand in his and drags it up his thigh before bringing my fingers to his lips. His eyes meet mine, dark and intent. "You are a dangerous man, Noah," I say, and lean over to press my lips against his. He kisses me back, then slides his mouth to my ear and whispers, "You have no idea." As I pull the car into the garage next to my building, the tension between us has become impossible to ignore. We fight to keep our hands off each other as we climb the stairs to my apartment, but as soon as the door closes behind us, we fall into each other completely. All the words we haven't been able to say pour out of us in another language. Afterward, we lie curled together in the dark, and for the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I should be.
Chapter 7. Noah. I practice what I plan to say to Rossi when he arrives. I have to get out of this situation, but only if I can take Eli with me. I can't handle the thought of him getting hurt, and he will. As soon as the Carbones figure out I'm not who I say I am, they'll go after Eli, no matter how innocent he is. They'll kill him if the cops don't. I'm prepared to tell Detective Rossi everything and deal with whatever consequences fall on me. I still haven't been able to come clean to Eli, but I want to make sure I can keep him safe before I do. Rossi's beat-up sedan pulls into the garage, and I hold my breath. My heart is pounding, but I have to do this. I just hope Eli understands. "You got something?" Rossi barks as I slide into the passenger seat. I hand him my latest notebook with all the details of the shipment from the other night. I wasn't able to get a container number, but you can backtrack this and find out what ship it was on and where it came from, I say. "Great fucking work, kid," Rossi says with real admiration in his voice. "You were made for undercover." He claps me on the shoulder and my gut twists. "It's getting real hot out there," I say, and he turns to face me. "What do you mean? You think they're onto you?" Rossi asks, his bushy brows drawn together. "Not yet," I breathe. "At least I don't think so, but they're starting to ask questions, to look into me." "We expected that," Rossi says. "Your background is flawless. If they try to look you up, they'll find everything we need them to see." I don't think it's that simple. Their connections run deep. "We know that, kid." Rossi's jaw ticks. "What's really going on here?" "I'm worried about casualties," I say. "Casualties? The fuck are you talking about, Sorrento?" Rossi is practically shouting. "Innocent people are going to get hurt," I challenge. "Like who?" Rossi growls. "Like Eli." I say, and brace for the inevitable barrage. "Eli," as in Eli fucking Carbone. Rossi scoffs. "I don't know how he's fucking tricked you, son, but he's far from innocent. He's a Carbone. Evil is bred into him. He didn't choose any of this. He wants out," I say. "He told you this?" Rossi asks incredulously. "Not exactly, sort of, I don't know. He raises money for the Arts Council for fuck's sake." I snap. A tiny fraction of the Carbone's wealth goes to teaching art to kids, and all of a sudden this guy's a fucking saint? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I'm trying to tell you he's innocent, and I want to find a way to make sure he's not hurt by all of this. If my cover is blown, his family will come after him. I say, "Then don't blow your fucking cover." Rossi shouts at me. I clench my fist to try to keep my composure. "I thought we were supposed to protect the innocent." I shout back, "How many people are we going to protect by bringing this family down?" Rossi snaps at me. "You don't get it. How are we supposed to be better than them if we ignore shit like this? It's a numbers game, kid. Even if this Carbone is innocent, I would trade his life for 100 other innocents in a fucking heartbeat. He's still a Carbone, and they all deserve what's coming to them." I take a deep breath and fight to keep the disgust from my expression. "How can you say that? How can you act like you're out for justice when you could just throw someone's life away if it's convenient? Am I that expendable?" "If you keep sympathizing with the enemy," yeah, Rossi shouts, and my mouth drops open in shock. "Don't look so shocked, Sorrento. You knew what this was when you signed up. Rossi waves his hand in dismissal. This sounds a lot more like revenge than justice. I growl through clenched teeth. You would know, wouldn't you? Rossi mutters. I'll pull out now if that's what it takes to protect the innocent, I say. You know, some of the guys downtown speculated that you swing that way, Rossi says and cuts his eyes toward me. What are you talking about? I ask as my pulse quickens. You've got a thing for the Carbone, Rossi says. I roll my eyes and wave my hand in dismissal, but I know I'm less than convincing. Sorrento, you're in too deep, he continues, and my stomach drops. I'm going to bring this family down one way or another. You can either help me or not. And if I choose not to, I challenge. Then I wouldn't be surprised if someone leaked intel about an agent in their midst. My heart falls through the floor. I expected pushback, not an open fucking threat. You wouldn't, I breathe. You underestimate me, Sorrento, Rossi says, then starts the engine. We'll meet back here next week. He reaches over me and opens the door. I blink a couple times before I get out of his car. He chirps his tires as he pulls away. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Now what? My blood boils as I walk across the garage back to my Camry. This whole op is bullshit. It's just a way for Rossi to get revenge under the guise of justice. I'm not going to be so easily manipulated. I can't just cower down to this asshole, but what are my options? I could come clean to Eli about the whole thing, but that will just make us both targets. And that's assuming Eli understands and doesn't just kill me out of spite. What the hell have I gotten myself into? I call Eli as soon as I get into my car and ask him to meet me at his secret apartment for dinner. Despite the risks, I have to tell him everything. I have to come clean. I can't keep carrying around this secret. And I have to stop whatever bloodbath Rossi is planning before Eli gets hurt. I just hope he'll understand. As I drive back to the apartment, though, I realize that nothing is ever that simple. If my cover is blown, it will jeopardize my life and Eli's. And what do I really expect Eli to do with this information anyway? He can't protect me from his family, and he damn sure can't protect me from Rossi. I pull into the garage next to Eli's apartment and immediately see his Bentley parked in the usual spot. Eli is leaning against the trunk, his loose curls falling around his downcast face, his long limbs heavy. I can't burden him with this. I have to find some other way out. He'll understand eventually. He has to. His face lights up when he sees me exit my Camry. His eyes dart around for any witnesses before he pulls me into an embrace. I breathe in his scent as it surrounds me. When he pulls back, I look up at him. Are you all right? I ask. Of course, he says with a smile, though it doesn't reach his eyes. Why wouldn't I be? I lift my eyebrows at him, but I don't answer. I grabbed us some burgers, I say as I lift a paper bag from my seat before I close the door to the Camry. I know it's not exactly filet mignon or anything, but I just wanted to see you. Eli smiles, this one genuine, and my heart melts. Come on, he says, and we head for the apartment. Once we're inside, and I pass out the paper-wrapped burgers, we eat in silence for a while. He finally lifts those piercing green eyes to mine, and my heart skips a beat. What's going on, Noah? He asks. It's just been a long day, Eli, I lie. My mom wants me to come home, and I just feel like, I don't know. It's at least a half-truth. My mother does want me to come home, but she has no idea where I am or how to contact me right now. Feeling homesick, huh? Eli says. I can't imagine I've made that any easier. His eyes drop to the counter. What do you mean? I ask. I've gotten you two involved with my family. They've really started to notice you. My father hasn't stopped asking questions, Eli says, and my pulse quickens. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. I lie again. My gut twists in revulsion. It doesn't matter. You don't understand these people. My family, Eli says with a shrug. If they think you're a threat or after our money, you'll disappear without a second thought. And the police here wouldn't even bother to look for you. I reach across the counter and take his hand. I'm here and I'm okay, I say, and squeeze his hand. You have no idea what you're dealing with by getting involved with me, Eli says before he looks up at me again. My breath catches as I notice that his eyes are lined with tears. Eli, I don't care about them, I say as I step around the counter and pull him into a gentle embrace. I care about you. I care about you too, he says into my shoulder. That's why this is so terrifying. What is? I ask. Someone saw us together the other night. Eli says, and my blood runs cold. Who? I ask. I don't know, he says. I denied it, of course, but I don't know if they believe me. They? My father and uncle. He pulls in a shuddering breath. Noah, I think. His voice catches, and I fight a sudden panic in my chest. I think we need to put some space between us. Suddenly, the world seems to crash down around me. Is he trying to end things with me? No, I whisper. He lifts his eyes to mine. This is stupid and selfish and completely irrational, but I don't want to end things. No, Eli lifts his eyebrows. No, I don't want to put space between us. I don't want to end things, I say quickly. Noah, I can't be the person you need me to be, Eli says, his face racked with pain and guilt. I don't need you to be anyone other than who you are, I challenge. I cup his cheek in my hand and force him to look at me. The thought of not being with you at all is something I can't handle. Noah, I can't. Eli starts, then leans into my hand and closes his eyes. Eli, we all have secrets. We all have issues, and I know they feel insurmountable right now, but don't just cut me off, please, I say. He opens his eyes and looks at me, his green irises piercing me to my soul. I really hoped you were stronger than me, Eli says, and closes his eyes again. What do you mean? I ask, and take a step closer so that our bodies are only inches apart. I can't handle the thought of being without you. Either, he whispers. I press my lips to his, and he wraps his long arms around me. I run my fingers through his hair, holding on for dear life. He pulls back to look at me. I love you, Eli. I whisper. He turns and crushes his lips against mine until I'm struggling for air. My heart pounds as the full weight of what I just confessed crashes down on me, and I can feel his heart pounding in time with mine. The rest of the night belongs to us, stolen, tender, desperate. Later, when we're lying tangled together in the quiet of his secret apartment, he speaks against my shoulder. I love you too, Noah. Please know that no matter what, I love you. I love you too, I say, pulling him tighter into my embrace. We'll figure this out, I say. We have to, Eli answers, then shifts his weight to settle next to me. I won't be able to live with myself if something happens to you because of me. I know, I say, and lean over to lay my head against his shoulder. You won't ever have to. Trust me, because I'll be the one responsible for that. Not you, is what I don't say. I also don't tell him that he's in just as much danger from me as I am from him. I want to tell him, I need to tell him, but I can't bring myself to. I told him that I loved him, and I meant it. I just hope he believes me when all this comes crashing down. We spend the rest of a night in Eli's apartment. The next morning, though, I wake up to a note on his nightstand. All it says is that he's out on family business and that he'll call me later. My heart sinks as I realize that I'm going to have to go back out into the real world, and soon. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I close and lock the door behind me, but when I get to the garage, my senses are on alert. I press my lips together when I spot Rossi's beat-up sedan parked next to my Camry. I meet his eyes, and he jerks his head to the passenger side. Against my better judgment, I get in the car with him. I'm glad you didn't do something stupid like confess to your boyfriend, Rossi says, and it takes all my restraint not to punch him in the jaw. What's it to you? I ask through gritted teeth. You think you're so smart, kid. Rossi laughs, and I growl at him. Your emotions are going to get the best of you, he warns, and I notice that he's holding his sidearm beneath a notebook in his lap. What are you doing? I ask, trying to figure out how to not get shot in this fucking car. Keeping tabs on my assets, Rossi says, moving so that the gun is in plain sight. You go try and switch sides on me, and I'll make sure Johnny knows all about you and your little relationship. You wouldn't, I say, but even I don't believe it. Oh, I would. And how do you think he's going to react when he learns that his precious nephew is keeping secrets like this? What the fuck does it matter to you anyway? I hiss. If I can't put his ass behind bars, I'll find another way to make him suffer, Rossi says with a shrug. Who do you think tipped him off about you two? You did that. My jaw drops. Damn right I did. And that was supposed to make Eli come tell you to fuck off so that you can get back to the op, Rossi says. I swing at him. My fist grazes his jaw, and I grab his arm to try to wrestle the gun away from him, but he manages to get the upper hand and put the gun to my temple. I freeze in my seat, fighting to keep my breathing under control. I'm really disappointed in you, son, Rossi says with a shake of his head. I'm not your fucking son, I growl. I knew when I took on this operation that I was putting my life on the line, but I thought the threat would be coming from the fucking gangsters, not law enforcement. You're right. If you were my son, I'd have put you down a long time ago, Rossi says. But if you even think about trying to come clean to your lover boy, this won't end well for either of you. He presses the barrel of his pistol into my temple. Are we clear? I grind my teeth in frustration. Answer me, he shouts, shoving the gun harder against my head. Crystal, I grind out. Good. Now get the fuck out of my car, Rossi barks, and I take a deep breath before I grab the door handle. He peels out of the parking lot, and I pray he'll get into a fatal wreck on the way back to wherever he's going. I get into my Camry and release a long, shuddering breath. Then I pound my fist against the steering wheel in frustration and let out a feral yell. Rossi played his hand, but it was a good one. It's obvious that he must have put trackers or bugs on me. Something that would have been nice to fucking know, since it's my life on the line working undercover. Fire fills my veins as I wonder just how much Rossi heard. When I get back to my apartment, I'll figure out where all the bugs are, but I can't just remove them or Rossi will leak to the Carbones exactly what's going on. I scrub my hand down my face. There has to be something I can do to get out of this. Hiding out from the Carbones once this is over was going to be challenging enough, but hiding from the police too? Impossible. I want to call Eli and tell him everything, but I can't do that either. I yell and smash my fists against the steering wheel again. There has to be something I can do, anything. But Rossi knows just how to hurt me. Even if I run, Eli will still be in danger. I'm trapped, but I'm too fucking pissed off to accept defeat.
Chapter 8. Eli. Listening to my father and uncle drone on about shipments and contracts is my own personal version of hell. But I have to keep my composure. They've already been looking too closely at me and Noah, and I can't give them any reason to doubt the lies I've told them. I met with Noah last night with every intention of ending things between us, but instead I just pulled him in deeper. I knew I wouldn't be able to just let him go, though. Even if he'd agreed to stop seeing me, I doubt I would have been able to keep my distance. Thankfully, he feels the same as I do, so the question is, what do we do now? Our hidden connection can only last so long before I want more, and that's not something that can happen while I'm this invested in my family. Despite how toxic they are, I can't just turn my back on them. Yesterday I thought about running away and just living on the run with Noah by my side, but I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'm sure Noah is better at living without money than I am, but how fast would it all unravel if we were always under that much pressure? No. I can't do that to him. He'll just have to accept this for what it is, and if he doesn't, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I look up to find them both looking at me, expecting something. I backtrack my thoughts and try to gather what I'm supposed to be responding to right now. Well, did you notice anything unusual about the last shipment? Uncle Johnny asks again. No, I say quickly. Everything was in the shipment. I compared the manifest to yours and everything was correct. Wherever we're losing product, it's not with our international partners, so it has to be in-house. Well, that's disappointing. You'd think the family would be loyal, my father mutters, shaking his head. Do you think they're stealing the actual product or just skimming cash from the transactions? I ask, feigning interest. I don't know, Uncle Johnny says, but I want you to head down to Reese's shop today and see what you can find out. I nod, though it won't help. Reese is just as unlikely to talk to me as he is Johnny himself. Your presence will be intimidating enough to shake something out of him, Uncle Johnny says. If he's skimming, he'll either slip up or stop, and either way I'll know where the leak is. Of course, Uncle, I say. At least now I know what he expects me to do. I'm supposed to play the part of the family thug. This is something of a rite of passage with all the younger family members, a test of loyalty, so to speak. If I go down there and empathize with Reese, then it'll look like I'm disloyal, but if I come back with information, or at least a very terrified cousin, it will prove I'm trustworthy. Too bad I don't really care about what they think of me. Still, I have to play the part. If they decide they can't trust me, they'll make my life hell, and they'll probably do that by going after Noah. I grind my teeth. I wish I could find out who saw us the other night. Whoever the snitch was, they had some very specific and very graphic details. I'll report back tonight, I say as I stand up from the overstuffed chair. I get in my car and drive into downtown Montcove, where Reese runs a computer repair shop. It's also the front where we sell the rare earth metals that we bring in from Russia, one of three, anyway. I park in the downtown garage and walk 3 blocks over to the store. I square my shoulders as I push through the doors. Eli, Reese calls from behind the counter, where he's disassembling a laptop. What brings you in today? Just checking in, I say, glancing around the store. He's keeping up appearances well. The store is clean and organized. Johnny sent you, huh? Reese asks, and I notice him palming a small screwdriver. I put my hand in my pocket so my jacket moves just enough to show the grip of my .45, and he puts the screwdriver in a drawer behind him. Let's talk in the office, yeah? He nods toward the back. Sure, I say, and step behind the counter. Svetlana, watch the front, Reese calls over his shoulder, and I notice a young woman with dark hair lift her eyes toward us before nodding. I follow Reese into the office and he takes a seat in the chair, the only seat in the room, and then he swings around and looks at me. His posture is relaxed, loose, but I can see right through him. How's business? I ask. The question is innocuous, but the underlying threat is obvious. I know how this goes, Reese says. I lift my brows and wait. You're supposed to come down here and accuse me of skimming, and I'm supposed to fight you about it, and then you rough me up a bit and we all go back to doing what we were doing anyway. I rest my hip on the edge of the desk and look down at him. I was really hoping Uncle Johnny was just being paranoid, but it's looking like Reese may actually have something to hide. He presses his lips together before continuing. Can't we just skip all that and pretend we fought? I can even throw some stuff around to make it look good. He lifts his eyebrows at me. That would never work, I say, keeping my voice cool. He knows I'm not the throw shit around type. Yeah? Reese asks, interlacing his fingers behind his head as he leans back in the chair. I've heard rumors about what type you are. His mouth curls into a smirk. Is that so? I lift an eyebrow. Oh, yeah, he says, and makes a crude insinuation with a gesture. My hand shoots across the desk and grabs Reese by the throat. Maybe this trip will pay off after all, especially if Reese is the fucking snitch. He scrabbles at my hand as I close off his windpipe, but my reach is almost a foot longer than his, and he can't shake me off. His face starts turning purple as I keep my grip and he kicks and swings his arms wildly. I'm sorry, he croaks on his last bit of air. No disrespect, man. I release him and he falls to the floor, gasping. I step around the desk and pull the .45 from my belt. I lean over the desk and put my face just inches from his. I'm also the type to watch you bleed out on this floor without a second thought, I snarl. You better figure out where that money is going, or that's exactly what's going to happen. As I stand back up, I notice the corner of a business card sticking out from underneath the keyboard on the desk. I pick it up and look at it. The fuck is this? I say, shoving it in his face. It's a card for a detective from the Montcove PD. Nothing, man, Reese says as he tries to snatch the card from my hand. I pull it back and take a closer look. Detective Leonard Rossi, I read aloud. I'm sure Uncle Johnny will be interested in this. I shove the card in my pocket and turn my back on Reese as I walk back out the door. Well, I guess you passed your fucking test, Reese gasps behind me. Go back and tell them how proud they should be of you. I don't even bother turning around. The words sting, but I can't let them bother me right now. At least Noah will be safe for the time being, especially if I tell my uncle that Reese is acting shady as hell and seems to be in contact with a damn cop. I feel a momentary twinge of guilt. Reese is done for. As soon as my uncle and father get this information they'll handle it and Reese will disappear like so many others before him, but at least the attention will be taken off me and Noah for the time being. I head back to the Carbone estate and go straight to my uncle's office. I tell him what I learned and as expected, he tells me he'll handle it from here. That pang of guilt hits me again. I actually liked Reese and I don't know what he was thinking or why he made those decisions, but he made his own bed. I shake my head at my own hypocrisy. The same could be said about me. My thoughts drift back to Noah. I tried to call him on the way back to the estate, but it went straight to voicemail. I try not to let that bother me, but it does. Then my uncle drops a new bomb on me. A shipment from Russia is coming in next week and he expects me to be there to accept it again. This time it's much more than metals, though. I don't get the specifics of the manifest, but it's a cash transaction, which means it's either drugs or guns, and either way I don't want any part of it. It's one thing to dodge tariffs, but this is a whole new level of risk. Why me? I ask my father as we're leaving for the night. After some of the rumors we heard, we need to know you can be trusted with the family's assets, my father says. Didn't I prove that today? I ask as I turn to face him. In a preliminary test, sure, father says with a shrug. You've also been given a lot of grace, and you can thank me for that. His eyes narrow and my pulse picks up. What does that mean? I frown at him. Johnny doesn't generally indulge in mindless gossip, my father says. He just gets rid of whatever the problem is, but I convinced him that the rumors about you and your friend are baseless. He looks at me in appraisal before continuing. So instead of just removing you from the roster, he's giving you a chance to prove yourself, and you better not let me down. Of course, I say, but the words are hollow. This means they're keeping a closer eye on me than I thought. My plan to call Noah as soon as I leave wouldn't be wise, not if I want to keep him safe. I get back into my Bentley and drive to the harbor. I should go back to campus since I've missed almost a week of classes already, but I can't bring myself to face the brothers. My heart almost stops when I pull into my usual parking spot and see Noah leaning against the wall, a slight smirk on his chiseled face. My mouth breaks into a grin, despite how dangerous I know this is. He looks effortlessly good, casual in dark sweats and a t-shirt. I watch his eyes sweep the garage as I park, and I can't wipe the stupid smile off my face as I open the door. What are you doing here? I ask, keeping my voice low even though there's no one around. I forgot my eye. Noah stammers until I furrow my brows. Fuck, I was hoping to see you, he finally says, and drops his head. I broke my phone, so I couldn't call. You broke your phone? I ask, but he doesn't look at me. Yeah, and my car's a piece of shit, he huffs. But I wanted to see you. Well, here I am, I say with a chuckle. I walk over to him and put my hand on his cheek. He looks around nervously, but doesn't pull away. Let's get inside, I say, and we head for the apartment. Once we're safely behind closed doors, Noah wraps me in a tight embrace. I'm sorry, Eli, he murmurs into my shoulder. I've had a shit day. Me, too. I squeeze him tighter and run my hands over the hard muscles beneath his soft clothes. He pulls back and looks down at me, his eyes coming to rest on the .45 that's still strapped to my belt. Something flickers in his expression. Are you okay? Noah asks. Yeah, I mean, as much as I can be right now, I answer as I remove my suit jacket. The card in my pocket snags and flutters down to the ground. Noah's eyes grow wide as he looks at it. Where did you get that? He asks, his voice tight. My cousin, I say, and pick the card up from the floor. I toss it in the trash can, but Noah's eyes track each movement. I think he's the one who's been spying on us, but between being suspected of stealing from my uncle and finding a card for a fucking cop on his desk, I don't think we have to worry about him anymore. Noah blinks a few times before he finally relaxes. I have to remind myself again that this isn't the life he's accustomed to. He walks over to the couch and sits down, scrubbing his hand down his face. Tension seems to envelop him, and I start to wonder if he's second-guessing staying together, and just the thought sets my heart racing. Eli, I need to tell you something, Noah says without looking at me. My heart plummets. No, I cut him off, leaning on the counter. I can't handle it right now, not when I'm barely holding on. I can't deal with anything else. I just need Noah. Whatever you have to say, just wait. Eli, He starts, but I close the distance between us and press my lips to his. He pulls back and looks at me for a minute, like he's searching for something, and then he kisses me back. I melt into him as his arms wrap around me. The words that almost spilled out between us get buried again under the warmth and desperation of being close to someone who feels like home, even knowing how much danger that word carries. Later, curled together on the bed, he speaks softly. I love you, Eli. Please know that no matter what, I love you. I love you, too, I say between breaths as I run my fingers down his cheek. I believe you. We sit like that for a few more minutes. Finally, I'm brave enough to ask, what did you want to talk to me about? It can wait, he says as he lifts himself up and takes my hands, pulling me over to the bed where we lie down, curling up together like an old married couple. I wrap my arms around him and before I can say anything else, he's snoring softly. I consider getting up to find something to eat, but I don't want to break this moment, and before I can think too hard about it, I'm nodding off to sleep. Noah is gone the next morning. He left me a note saying he'll let me know when he has a new phone, and I start to wonder what happened to his old one. I'd been so selfish last night I didn't even bother to ask. I didn't ask about his car, either. He'd had a rough day too, but still let me use him as a salve for my own pain. I can't even comprehend why he cares about me the way he does. The mirror in the bathroom is still fogged up from his shower, so he must not have been gone long. Still, if there's anything I've learned, it's that there's no going back from here. I love that man, and nothing is going to take that away from me.
Chapter 9, Noah. Forcing myself to stay away from Eli has proven to be more difficult than anything I've ever done. Keeping him out of my apartment, even more so. I should be bothered by how often he shows up unannounced, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't always happy to see him. He's been nervous lately, though. He told me about the upcoming shipment, but I kept him from giving me too many details. I don't know how much Rossi is listening to me, and I can't be too careful. I found at least 3 bugs in my apartment, and I've managed to either disable them or keep them quiet, but there could always be more. There's also a tracker on both my phone and in my car. I picked up a burner, an old-school flip phone that's almost less than useless, and I've been struggling to convince Eli that it's just until my new phone arrives. Thankfully, Montcove has a great public transit system, so I don't have to mess with the car, at least most of the time. But I'm sitting in it now as I wait for Rossi. My mind races with what's going to happen. There's no way he hasn't noticed that all the bugs on me have gone silent or that my car has been sitting still for a week. But with the elimination of his contact in the family, Reese disappeared about 2 days ago. Maybe he'll pull back a bit. No matter what, as soon as I can convince Eli to come with me, I'm running. I've already found us a place in California. I pushed the papers through with an alias yesterday, and I'm going to talk to Eli tonight. I've tried so many times to come clean already, but something always gets in the way. I just hope Eli doesn't hate me when I drop this bomb. My spiraling thoughts come to a halt when Rossi pulls into the parking spot next to mine. My pulse racing and my senses on high alert, I dutifully exit my car and jump into his passenger seat. If I can convince him that I'm still collecting evidence, that should give me the time I need to get Eli the hell out of here. Rossi is definitely arrogant enough to think he's bullied me into going along with his plan. I notice your phone's been turned off. Rossi growls as soon as I get in. Eli got paranoid, I lie. You definitely seem to be spending a lot of time at his secret apartment, Rossi says, using his fingers to make air quotes. I keep my face neutral. I suspected that he knew about the apartment thanks to the tracker on my phone, but his mention of it sets my pulse racing. What have you got for me? He asks as he turns to face me. His hand rests on the grip of his sidearm. Nothing new. I lie again. Bullshit, kid, Rossi says, and his jaw ticks. I know there's a shipment coming in, a big one. When's it happening? I don't know what you're talking about, I say through clenched teeth. Eli doesn't give me details since the family has been asking around about me. He thinks it's safer if I don't know what's going on. Look, if you want more, then I'll need more time to get the family to trust me, I say, clenching my fists at my sides. They might be able to trust you, but I sure as fuck don't, Rossi says, tightening his grip on his gun. All of a sudden you're not giving me anything, the bugs are quiet, and your movements aren't being tracked. How am I supposed to know you haven't switched sides? You want to talk about trust? I shoot back. Or do you not remember threatening my life the last time we met? You needed the motivation. You're getting too distracted by your personal feelings. Rossi rolls his eyes. I need more time, I say again. I shift so that my own weapon is within reach. Where's the damn shipment? Rossi says. I don't know. I shout. Bullshit. He tries to pull his weapon, but I'm faster. I have my gun pressed to his stomach before he can even get his out of the holster. I told you. I need more time, I growl. You just signed your death warrant, Rossi says, but he lets go of his gun. Not likely. I think the family will trust me pretty easily if I bring them your corpse as a fucking trophy. I snarl. You won't kill me, Rossi says, and relaxes his shoulders. I don't want to, that's true, I answer. I can find out, Rossi says, raising his hands in submission. I'll be there to intercept the shipment, and I'll probably be able to take down some international dealers as well. Do whatever you want, I say, but I turn to the door. I open it and get out of the car, keeping my gun trained on Rossi. I already know it's tonight, he continues, and I've got a pretty good guess as to where. I'm sure. I scoff, but I believe him. We're done, kid. I'm disappointed in you, he says, then peels out of the parking lot. I stare after him for a few minutes before turning to my car. This isn't good. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I call Eli as soon as the car door shuts behind me. He doesn't pick up. I snap the phone shut and start my car. I have to warn him. If Rossi already had one mole in the family, I doubt he'd have trouble finding another, and he's definitely going to target Eli after this. I have to find him, and we have to run. I go by the fraternity house, but no one has seen Eli in days. I try his off-campus apartment, then the secret apartment, but have no luck at either of them. He must already be with his family. The shipment is happening tonight, so I know he'll be there, but I have to find a way to get to him before then. I keep trying his phone, but now it's going straight to voicemail. He must have turned it off. Shit. I go back to my apartment. I know this is stupid, but it's the only plan I've got. I open the safe and take out my badge and ID, shoving them into my pocket. Then I head down to the bus stop to catch a ride to the docks. I'm not sure exactly where the transaction is taking place. I've been very careful not to let Eli give me too many details because I was afraid of Rossi finding out, but now I wish I'd let him tell me everything. It's starting to get dark as I wander around the shipping yard, looking for anything suspicious. I notice a small cargo ship pulling into the harbor, and hope that's the right one. I follow its movements as it chugs through the shallow waters of the bay. It pulls up to a dock. There are no containers this time, and several men jump out and start tying it off as it lowers a ramp to connect with the dock. Keeping out of sight, I watch as they start to unload crates with hand carts, piling them together at the end of the dock. Voices rise from the other side of the crates, and one of them belongs to Eli. I would know his smooth cadence anywhere. Even in this situation, the sound of his voice soothes me. My skin prickles as I listen to him speaking in flawless Russian. There's still a lot I have to learn about this man. I stay hidden as I listen to their conversation. I don't speak Russian, but things seem to be going smoothly. Rossi must have been bluffing about knowing when and where this was taking place. If this all works out, I'll just keep out of sight until I could talk to Eli. I notice movement from the opposite side of the docks, and my adrenaline spikes when I hear the shouts of officers telling them to freeze. Gunshots ring out, and I launch myself out of my hiding place. My heart shudders to a stop when I see Eli take a hit and fall to the ground. I bolt across the dock, bullets screaming around me, and fall to my knees next to him. Relief washes through me as soon as I notice that he's still breathing, but it's shallow. I check him over. He has a wound on his shoulder, but it looks like the bullet went through. Sirens start wailing in the distance as the gunfire slows. I grab Eli, and he finally regains consciousness. At least 3 men are on their knees with officers' gun trained on them, and several more are trying to run. Noah, what are you doing here? He gasps, then groans and grabs his shoulder. Don't worry, I've got you, I say as I lift him to his feet. He leans on me heavily as we walk away from the fray. One officer shouts at me to freeze, but I flash my badge at them and they wave me through. Eli seems to be too disoriented to notice as we keep walking. We keep moving, and I take Eli back to his car. I get him settled into the passenger seat, but he's fading in and out of consciousness. I have to take a minute to orient myself in the driver's seat. This car is ridiculous, but I somehow manage to get us to the hospital and carry a semi-conscious Eli inside. By this point, we're both covered in blood, and everything is a blur as the doctors and nurses rush him into the trauma center. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The next thing I know, I'm sitting in a waiting room with a pile of paperwork I have no idea how to fill out. It's probably not the best idea, but I use my undercover alias on all the documents, and when they mention that they need to let law enforcement know about the GSW, I flash my badge again. Thankfully, they back off as they take Eli into surgery. Sometime later, it was probably only a few hours, but it felt like a week. The doctors come to let me know Eli is out of surgery. They take me into the recovery room, where he's still sleeping. They try to give me the details of the surgery, but everything after he will make a full recovery gets lost somewhere in translation. They ask me if I need help with security, but I tell them that this is a high-profile case, and we need to keep it quiet, but there's no danger. Thankfully, they believe me. I sit in the chair next to Eli's bed and rest my head next to his arm. I take his hand and hold it without any idea what my next move should be. I don't even know how we're going to get out of this damn hospital. Eli shifts next to me, and I lift my head. He blinks sluggishly a few times before focusing on me. Noah, what happened? Where am I? Eli croaks. My heart twists. We're in the hospital, Eli, I say as I put my hand on his cheek. His eyes start shooting around the room. What happened? Eli asks again. I stroke his hair, brushing the curls from his forehead. Cops got wind of the transaction, and there was a raid. I say, my voice catching. You were shot, but I got you out of there. Eli squeezes my hand and leans into my touch. My heart feels like it's splitting in two. Ow, I don't understand, he says. We just have to get out of here, and then I'll explain everything, I say quietly and touch my forehead to his. I promise I love you. Officer Sorrento, a female voice says behind me, and Eli freezes beneath my touch. Here, it is the beginning of the end. I just hope Eli can play it cool until we get out of here. But when I lift my head, the pain and betrayal in his eyes shatters me before I turn to the doctor. Dr. Nguyen says that as soon as the patient is awake and alert, you can go. Here are the aftercare instructions. She hands me a packet of papers. Hey there, Mr. Andriotta, she says to Eli, and his gaze narrows on me. How are you feeling? It hurts quite a bit, Eli says, his eyes never leaving mine. But otherwise, I'm good, I think. Well, the surgery went well, and the bullet didn't hit anything vital, but you're lucky to have Officer Sorrento looking out for you. You lost a lot of blood, so you'll probably feel groggy for a while. I brought you some clothes, and you're free to go as soon as you're up to it. She smiles and drops some sweatpants and a white t-shirt onto the end of the bed. Thank you, Eli says to her. She gives him a quick nod and leaves. My eyes follow her out the door. I can feel Eli's gaze burning into my back, but I can't turn around. I can't look at the pain I've caused him. Excuse me, Officer Sorrento, he says, and his voice feels like ice flowing over my skin. Eli, we have to get out of here, and then I'll explain, I say quickly. I gave the hospital my name. They have no idea who you are. Apparently, I have no idea who you are, he says with a grunt, and I turn to find him swinging his legs off the bed. I step over to help him, but he shoves me away. The knife in my chest gives a final, fatal push. He struggles with the clothes, trying to pull the sweatpants on with one hand, since his other arm is tied up in a sling. Let me help you, I insist, just until we get out of here, and then I'll leave you alone if that's what you want. You never have to look at me again. Noah. He grimaces, and I don't think it's from physical pain. Is that even your fucking name? Yes. I whisper as I help him pull the shirt over his head. He grunts in pain as I help guide his wounded shoulder through the sleeve. What the fuck is this, Noah? Eli hisses at me. I was undercover, I say without looking at him. So this was all a setup? He asks, and I flinch. No. Well, just no, I say quickly and help him with his pants. Montcove PD was trying to get something on your uncle, but then I met you, and I never thought. It wasn't supposed to be like this, I say with a grimace. Is that all you have to say? Eli challenges as I help him to his feet. No, I say quickly. No, not even close. And if we can get out of here, I'll explain everything. I promise, Eli. Please believe me. How the fuck am I supposed to believe you? Eli says, and parts of me I didn't even think could begin to shatter. I knew on some level that this was how it was going to end. Where's my phone? He growls at me as I help him keep his balance as we head for the exit. In your car, I say, and he pulls away from me. Your car's in the parking lot. I hand him the keys. He steps forward and stumbles, so I catch him, but he pulls away from me again. Eli, please. I beg, but I know it's no use. I've ruined everything. With each step forward, my world shatters around me. Eli keeps a step ahead of me, and I fight the compulsion to reach for him. We make it out the exit, and he pauses to search the parking lot. I make a rough gesture with my hand, and he allows me to lead him in the direction of his car. I keep my eyes open and searching as we cross the pavement. Eli spots his Bentley and starts toward it, and even though I know he doesn't want me to, I follow, keeping a step behind him. Eli gets to the car and wrenches open the door. Do you want me to drive you? I ask, though I know the question is stupid. He gives me a glare that could melt steel and settles himself into the seat. I just stand there and stare at him stupidly. I want to say so much, but nothing comes out. Eli stops to look at me one more time, and I hold my breath. He opens and closes his mouth, and then his expression turns bitter, and I notice tears lining his eyes. My breath catches as he reaches for the door. Eli, wait. I reach for him, but he recoils. I bought a cabin. What? Eli snaps. I bought a cabin in California. For us. You and me. We'll be safe there. His expression softens, And for the briefest of moments, hope sparks in my chest. But it doesn't last. "Fuck you, Noah," he says, and slams the car door shut. I stand there and just stare as he pulls out of the parking space and drives away. I watch him until he's out of sight, and a void opens up in my soul. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Somehow, I manage to leave the parking lot. I walk across the street and into a liquor store. It takes me a minute to process that the clerk is terrified of me, the vacant-eyed man covered in blood who's trying to buy a bottle of whiskey. He ends up giving it to me for nothing. I still throw a few dollars onto the counter. I swallow several mouthfuls of the burning liquid before finding my way to a bus stop. Some sort of instinctual self-preservation kicks in because I don't even try to go back to my apartment. I'm sure Rossi or someone else would be sitting there waiting for me. Instead, I find myself at a cheap-ass motel in the harbor. Being close to what I now consider our apartment gives me some sort of solace. I didn't tell Eli that the apartment is compromised. I pull out my phone to text him, but it's gone dead. Of course, I don't have a charger with me, and finding one for this dinosaur will be close to impossible. I take another few slugs of the whiskey, relaxing into the numbing sensation of the alcohol, and fall backward onto the bed, bloody clothes and all. I wish I could just explain it all to Eli. I wish I'd gotten up the nerve to do it sooner. Fuck, I wish I'd never agreed to this damn assignment in the first place. I fall back on the bed and close my eyes. This time when I close them, I don't bother opening them again.
Chapter 10. Eli. I put the gas pedal to the floor. I weave in and out of traffic as I cross Montcove toward the Carbone estate. I'll be lucky if Uncle Johnny doesn't shoot me where I stand when I tell him about this. Fucking Noah. I can't believe he would do this to me. I didn't even tell him where the deal was happening. He must have found out some other way and ratted me out. I'm so fucking stupid. I can't believe I fell for all his bullshit. I even showed him my apartment. My fucking apartment, the one thing I kept secret from everyone. I thought he was fucking safe. I thought he was genuine, but this whole time it was just a bullshit ploy to get information about my fucking family. I launch my fist into the steering wheel, busting my knuckles and savoring the pain. My mind flashes back to Noah, to our time together, the way he made me feel things I've never felt before. How could he do this? How could someone be so goddamn fake? A split second of doubt creeps into my mind, but I shut it down. He lied. He fucking lied to my face, over and over again. I love him. No, I loved him. That's been replaced with hate. That fucking bastard ruined me. I barely even register where I am when I pull into the circular drive of the Carbone estate. I skid to a stop in front of the main doors and get out. When I try to stand up, I wrench my shoulder and yell a few colorful expletives as I slam the door shut. I storm into the grand entryway and up the stairs toward my uncle's office. I burst through the door to find my uncle and my father in deep discussion at his desk, and they both look up at me in shock. "What are you doing here?" My father blurts out. "What the fuck happened out there?" I yell and gesture toward my injured shoulder. "We were told you were killed," Uncle Johnny says, his eyes narrowing on me. "Obviously not." I glare back and forth between the two of them. They both eye me warily. They definitely don't seem relieved that I'm alive. Suspicion rises in my blood as I stomp up to the desk. Uncle Johnny has a video conference up on his computer, and the person on the screen is none other than the Montcove chief of police. "What the fuck is going on?" I shout. "Nothing to bother yourself with," Uncle Johnny says. "You need to rest. Why don't you go back to your room?" "No." My eyes dart back and forth between the two men and the screen. "What happened?" "Just tell him," the face on the screen says. "If he managed to survive this, he'll make a great asset." "Asset?" I bark. "What are you talking about?" "No, he's compromised," Johnny says to the screen. "Mario, take care of this." Johnny gestures toward me. "I want to know what happened. Why was I almost killed? Why are you talking with the chief?" I shout, but my father stands up and takes my arm. I snatch it away, but my father grips my injured shoulder, sending blinding bolts of pain through me. "Come with me, son. I'll explain," he says. I glare at my uncle for a second, but then willingly go with my father. He stays silent as we walk out of the estate and toward my father's sedan. My body feels weak and heavy as I drop into the passenger seat and lay my head back, closing my eyes. "You weren't supposed to survive," my father says after a painfully long silence. "What?" I manage to gasp. "We should already be back at my father's part of the estate." "Where are we going?" "To tie up loose ends," he says. I lay my head back against the headrest again and start to slip from consciousness. I fight to stay awake, but I can't. Darkness swallows me. When I open my eyes again, we're sitting at the docks. My father is still in the driver's seat, only now he's holding a 9mm pistol in his lap. His expression is pained and my heart starts pounding. What the hell is going on? I ask. I guess your undercover friend came clean since you came back to us, my father says without looking at me. I wish this could be different, Eli. You had so much potential. What? You wish what was different? I ask. You weren't supposed to survive, he says again. Survive what? We had a fucking deal, Eli, my father says, and my chest constricts. We were working with the chief of police to bring down the Russians. They've been shorting us for a while now, and we wanted to send them a message. What does that have to do with me? I ask, inching closer to the door. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You led the narc right to the weapons, but you were supposed to die. If you survive, then the Russians will know we were working with the cops. I shake my head as the pieces fall into place. They weren't worried about Noah being undercover. They were worried that I'd figure it out before they could pull off this bullshit raid. So you have the cops doing your dirty work, I whisper. I shift in my seat. So what? I'm just collateral damage. Yes, my father says, and looks back down at the gun in his lap. You're willing to kill your own son for a business deal. It's more than that, he says as he finally looks at me, his eyes dark and calculating. This raid secured much more than just getting the attention of the Russians. Now that they know how hot the market is, they'll be willing to pay much steeper prices for our products, most of which are supplied by the PD. It also secures the chief's alliance with us. We won't have to bother with keeping our heads down if the cops won't touch us. And you get all this for the low price of Eli Carbone, I growl. Suddenly, I wish Noah was here. It looks like he was just as much a pawn in all of this as I was. The thought of a cabin in California suddenly feels very enticing. I didn't want it to be this way, my father says. I lean back in resignation. Noah lied to me, my own family used me as an expendable playing chip, and my whole world is crumbling around me. Fucking get it over with, then, I say, and close my eyes. Get out of the car, my father says. He wouldn't want to have to clean my blood out of his fucking car. I do as he says. He gets out behind me and trains the gun on my back. I lift my good hand into the air and walk toward the waterfront. I step up to the edge and close my eyes, waiting to welcome the darkness. I hear a loud pop and flinch, but the anticipated pain doesn't come. I open my eyes when I hear a heavy splash and look down to see a body floating on the water. My father's body. I gulp for air as I look around. A man stumbles out from behind a cargo trailer and trains an unsteady weapon on me. Where's Sorrento? The man growls at me. His clothes are torn and bloody, and he looks like he's taken more than one gunshot. I narrow my eyes at him as he stumbles toward me. I take a few tentative steps away from the water's edge. Don't move or you're next, the man gasps, but he can barely stand. I don't know where he is. Who are you? I ask, keeping my hand in the air. I take a few more steps, distancing myself from the black water. I'm his fucking handler, the guy he's supposed to be working for, the man says. I blink a few times in confusion. You. He stumbles and drops to one knee. You fucked up everything. He actually called you innocent, the fucking halfwit. I don't know what you're talking about, I say as I put more distance between us. He blew the whole damn operation, the man continues. I guess you know him as Noah Andriotta. I narrow my eyes. I had all the fucking Carbones dead to rights. You were all going down, but he had to go and catch feelings for a fucking thug. He pulls the trigger and I drop to the ground, my injured shoulder screaming. He misses 3 shots before the gun starts clicking. The man drops to his hands and knees and tries to fumble around in his pockets for a new clip, and I take the opportunity to run. I scramble to my feet and zigzag through the cargo trailers until he's lost behind me. I can hear him shouting incoherently, but I keep moving, even though I have no idea where I'm going. When I finally get my bearings, I realize that my apartment is close by. I have no idea if it's safe anymore, but it's the only place I can go right now. I quickly get inside and bolt up the stairs until I'm safely locked behind the door. I pull a picture off the wall to expose a small safe, the only secret I have left. I pull out a few stacks of cash and the keys to a car that's been parked in the garage for months. It might not even start, but I have to run. I put it all into a small bag and look around, then grab a couple changes of clothes and shove them into the bag, too. Dizziness rushes over me, so I sit down on the bed, then fall down onto it. The pillows still smell like Noah and emotion overwhelms me. Tears flood my eyes. This is all too much. I can't even bring myself to believe it's worth the hassle to run. The Carbones will never stop looking for me and neither will the police. Noah is gone, my father is dead, and my uncle is a heartless bastard. Nothing is as it should be. The world has shattered and I don't know why I should bother picking up the pieces. Pain stabs at my shoulder as I cry into the pillow. Even though I know he's a lying asshole, I'd give anything for Noah to be here with me right now. The dark finally envelops me completely and I fall into a dreamless sleep. I wake up in the morning, or at least I think it's morning. Everything hurts. I reach into my pocket for the pills that the doctor gave me before I left the hospital and take 3, washing them down with water from the sink. Now that I've slept, I can think a little more clearly, but my situation doesn't look any more hopeful. I start piecing everything together. I know that Noah was a fucking cop and I know that my father and uncle set me up to fail and die. Now my father's dead, Noah's handler is probably dead, and Noah is missing. I grab my phone to check my messages. I shouldn't be surprised that he hasn't tried to contact me, but my heart still sinks even farther. I roll off the bed and head for the shower. This whole damn apartment is full of memories. I don't even know what I would say to Noah if he did try to contact me. I don't think this is something we can get past. Even if I gave him the chance to explain, how could I ever trust him again? Suddenly, things start to make sense. All the times I thought I was being selfish when Noah was just feeling some sort of way about lying to me. When Noah was having a bad day it wasn't because of school or family, it was because he was arguing with his fucking handler. The man last night said something about Noah telling him I was innocent. I don't even know what that means. My chest constricts as I step into the shower and flashes of Noah threaten to blind me. I shut off the water as tears threaten to overwhelm me again. I have no idea what to do next. It almost seems like the best thing would be just to wait here until someone finds and kills me. None of it matters anyway. I wanted out of the family and now I've gotten my way. Be careful what you wish for and all that. As I begin to pull my clothes on I hear a soft tapping on the door and my breath stills in my lungs. I reach into the drawer of my nightstand and pull out my .45. The tapping starts on the door again and I pad over toward it in my bare feet. I tiptoe up to peer through the peephole and my heart comes to a complete stop in my chest. I take a deep breath and yank open the door. I grab Noah by the shirt, throw him onto the floor and slam the door shut behind me, locking the deadbolt before training the pistol on Noah as he scrambles to regain his footing. I expect him to look angry or betrayed, anything other than the pure guilt and agony I see in his eyes. My heart twists as I look at him and I have to remind myself that he's a fucking liar. What are you doing here? I hiss at him. He raises his hands as he gets to his feet. I didn't think you'd be here, but I wanted to make sure you knew that this place wasn't safe anymore, Noah says, and I lower the pistol slightly. Yeah, thanks for that, I snap, and he winces. I immediately feel bad, but I shove the feeling aside. He deserves the pain. Rossi's dead, he says. He was my handler and he's told the entire department that I've turned. I'm not safe here anymore. Join the fucking club, I say, and his eyes narrow. I met your fucking handler last night. I guess I should thank him. For what? Noah asks. He claims you ruined everything, and I'm inclined to agree, I say, lowering the gun. Eli, I'm sorry, Noah says. Tears sting my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. Fucking save it, Noah, I bark. It's not like I can believe you. Everything you've ever said to me was a lie. Not everything, Noah whispers as he looks at the floor. You should be proud. Your handler killed Mario Carbone last night, I say instead. What? Noah's eyes shoot to mine. Yeah, I'm supposed to be dead, and the only safe place for me in this fucking city has been compromised thanks to you, so save your fucking apologies for someone who gives a shit. I tried to stop him, Noah says. He takes a step forward and God help me, I let him. I tried to stop all of this. I tried to tell you, I swear. God, I want to believe him. I want to believe him so bad I almost do. Instead I say, fuck you, Noah, and he flinches like I struck him. Eli, I really do love you, Noah whispers, and my throat tightens. Fuck you. No, you don't. It was all a lie. My voice breaks. Tears start to slide down my cheeks, and I hate Noah even more. No, it wasn't, Noah whispers, and I take a step closer to him. Tears stream down his face, though they're silent. Eli, I fell in love with you, hard, he continues, and I fight to keep the sobs at bay. I fucked up, I know I did. I should never have been in this goddamn position in the first place. I don't know how I could ever make it up to you, but I fucking swear that I'll spend the rest of my life trying, whether you want me to or not. I drop the gun to my side and collapse onto one of the bar stools in the kitchenette. How can I love this man so much? Even after all he's done, I just want to run into his arms and tell him everything's okay, but I can't. That would be beyond stupid. I want to tell him that we can figure it out. I want to tell him that I love him and I always will. But I don't. Get out, I hiss at him as I gasp for air. Eli, please, Noah begs as he takes another step toward me. Get out, I say again, this time with a bit more strength. It's not safe here, Noah says, and I launch myself from the stool until I'm only inches from his face. His eyes are dark and pained. Get out, I say slowly, shoving every ounce of anger and menace into my voice as possible. I need him to go before I do something stupid like forgive him. Okay, he says, dropping his gaze. Something in me cracks, but I stand firm. He drops something onto the counter, but I ignore it, waiting for him to walk out the door. He pauses once he turns the handle, but I don't move. I don't even breathe. He looks back at me one last time before he pushes through the door and closes it behind him. I collapse onto the bar stool once again and finally look at what he dropped on the counter. It's a hotel keycard for the motel a few blocks away with a room number written on it. I don't know what he's playing at, but there's no way I'm going to allow him to lead me into another trap. I'm not that fucking stupid, am I?
Chapter 11. Noah. I stumbled down the stairs from our apartment, fighting the whole way to put one foot in front of the other. I want more than anything to run back to the apartment and grovel until Eli forgives me, but I know that won't do any good. He probably won't ever forgive me, and he has every right to hate me. I left the room key and let him know the apartment isn't safe, so maybe he'll change his mind. I can hope. I shouldn't, but I can. I keep my eyes peeled as I cross back through the handful of blocks to the seedy motel where I stayed last night. I probably look like absolute hell. My head is throbbing, and I can still taste the whiskey from the whole goddamn bottle I finished by myself. My mind is swimming as I let myself back into the room. I know I can't stay here for long, since the Carbones and the police are probably both searching for me, ready to eliminate me as a threat. I'll run for now and try to stay alive, but once I get back to my family, I'll have nothing but time to figure out how to bring all of them down. I just have to figure out how to do that without hurting Eli. I know he hates me now, but I still can't bring myself to accept him as nothing more than collateral damage. I can't hurt him. I won't. I need to know that he'll be safe, and if that means taking out the head of the fucking Carbone family, then I'll do that. If something happens to Eli, may God have mercy on them because I won't. That's as far as I can think about that. Aside from the local news, I haven't been able to find out much about the fallout from Eli's transaction going sideways. Just that they found Rossi's body riddled with bullets, and there weren't any arrests made. Apparently, everyone involved either escaped or chose death, except Eli. I managed to save him, though it seems like that may have made his situation with his family much worse instead of better. I was a pawn, Rossi was a pawn, Eli was a pawn. We were all just pieces being moved by the real players, the leaders of law enforcement and mafia families. I sit down on the bed and stare at the door. I hope more and more with each passing second that Eli will walk through it. I need to leave. My bag is already packed and ready to go. And though I've paid the room up for the next 2 nights, I know that the powers that be are probably closing in. But for some reason, I can't bring myself to walk out the door. I remind myself that Eli made his choice. He told me to get out, and he's not stupid enough to still be at that apartment. So going back there would be a stupid risk for no reward. I grab my bag and walk to the door. I stand there with my hand on the handle, but I just can't go through with it. I can't leave without Eli. I shake my head and try to convince myself that he's not coming, but I can't. What we had was real. What we felt for each other was real, and Eli has to know that. Nothing else matters, but Eli has to know that I meant it when I said I loved him. I still love him, and nothing will stop me from loving him, even if he won't let me near him. I flop back onto the mattress. I can't do it. I can't run. Eli will come back for me. I just need to give him more time. He won't let me explain everything to him, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't trust my word either, but he has to feel it. If I give him time, he'll realize that I could never hurt him. If that means sitting in this busted motel until the bad guys find me, then so be it. I finally leave the room. But instead of heading for the bus stop, I walk up to the front desk, where a bored woman points me in the direction of a store where I can grab a charger for my burner phone. I get to the store and purchase a charger, then go back to the room and plug the phone into the wall. Waiting for it to charge enough to turn on is excruciating, but not so much as the blow that comes when I have no messages. I start flipping through my contacts. I know Eli's in trouble, and Johnny Carbone isn't known for being forgiving. My fingers hover over one name. Someone I went to school with, someone I haven't spoken to in over 2 years, but I know she'll answer, and she could help. But I hesitate. I don't want to make a decision like this without Eli. It was my making decisions without opening up to him that put me in this position in the first place. I need to wait. I pick up the phone and make the call. The phone goes to voicemail, but I leave a message. Hey Stacy, it's Sorrento. I'm in a bit of a jam, and I could use your help. Please call me back when you get this. I end the call. That was probably stupid, but she's the only person I can think of who'll be able to help me fix this. I just hope she understands. I lie back on the bed again and close my eyes. My head is throbbing and my stomach is still roiling with a hangover, but I ignore my discomfort. I just need to know Eli is safe. I try to call him, but his phone is turned off. That's probably a good thing. I get up and walk to the door again. The best thing I could do for myself is to walk the fuck out of here and not look back, but I still can't. I go back to the bed and force myself to be still. Exhaustion finally takes over, and I fall asleep. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It's dark when I wake to the sound of someone opening the motel door. I roll silently out of bed and grab my 9mm from beneath my pillow. I duck beneath the window and press myself against the wall, keeping the weapon low. The intruder slowly closes the door behind them and slinks into the room. The slight glow of the outside light seeping through the crack in the curtains catches on the planes of the intruder's face, and I know I must be dreaming. Eli, I whisper into the darkness. He turns toward my voice, and I switch the lamp on. His brilliant green eyes are red-rimmed and shining, but he's here. He's safe, and he's in the room with me. Noah, he whispers back. This is a dream, isn't it? I whisper more to myself than him. Maybe. Eli answers anyway. I'm not sure I can tell anymore. Are you all right? I ask as I cross the room until I'm standing directly in front of him. He flinches away from me, and my heart shatters, but he doesn't pull away. No, he says, and his voice catches. No, I'm not fucking all right, Noah. Tears start streaming down his face, and I reach out to touch his cheek. Eli, I say again, and he leans into my touch. My heart starts pounding so hard it feels like it's trying to escape my chest. He's here, and he's real. I can't breathe. Please, Noah, he says, his breath hitching. Please tell me it's real. Please tell me you're real. I'm real, I say quickly. I'm real. I'm here, and I love you, Eli. I pull him toward me, and he melts into my arms. I promise I love you, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if I need to. Just stay with me, Eli whispers. I pull him into a tight embrace and hold him until he stops trembling. His long arms stay wrapped around my shoulders as I stroke his back. He smells like rain and soap, and his hair tickles my forehead where my face is tucked into his shoulder. I don't ever want to move. Slowly, he disentangles himself from me, and I pull back to look at his face. His eyes are shining, and the lines on his forehead are deep and concentrated. I reach up and touch his brow, and he closes those sharp green eyes at my touch. Eli's brow relaxes slightly as I run my fingers down his jaw. He leans his cheek into my palm with a soft sigh, and I force myself to stay still, except for my hand. His brow tightens again, and he presses his lips together, and I run my thumb over them. Eli rolls his head back, and I can't help myself. I press my lips to his cheek, his jaw, the soft spot beneath his ear. He wraps his arms tighter around me. I lean back and look at him again, but he still hasn't opened his eyes. I trace my thumbs along his cheeks, and his pained expression relaxes slightly. Slowly, his eyes flutter open, and he turns his piercing gaze on me. My blood instantly heats at the intensity of his gaze as he takes my face in his hands. Tell me you love me, Noah. His voice is raw and full of emotion. Tell me you mean it. Show me. I love you, Eli. I say quickly. I love you. I had no idea how much I could love you until I thought I lost you. Show me, Eli whispers, his pained expression breaking me into pieces. Anything, I say. Anything you want. His lips find mine, and my heart feels like it's going to explode. He kisses me with everything he has, with all the pain and the anger and the grief and the love, and I take all of it and give it back to him. We hold onto each other in the darkness of that cheap motel room, and for the first time in days, the world stops feeling like it's falling apart. Later, lying beside each other in the dim quiet, his arm wrapped around me, he speaks to the ceiling. I hate this, Noah, he whispers against my temple. I know, I say. I hate how much I love you. It feels like a gut punch, but I deserve it. I deserve his hate, and I definitely don't deserve his love, but I still want it. I want it more than anything. I'm so sorry, Eli. I say, fighting to keep my voice even. I never meant to hurt you. Bullshit, he responds with a defeated chuckle. You had every intention of hurting me. Another gut punch, but he's not wrong. When I took the job, I knew it was going to hurt everyone in his family, including him. I just didn't know him yet. It was stupid, I say. No, it wasn't, he says. My family's full of horrible people, and I'm part of it. But you're not, Eli, I say quickly. You're not like them. You're perfect. Don't, Noah. He turns away from me. I wrap my arm around him and pull his back against my chest. We're pressed together in a narrow bed, and I clamp my arms around him, not allowing him to move. Don't what? I murmur into his ear. I see his cheek dimple into a smile. Don't try to convince me I'm good or that I'm different than the rest of my family, he says. It's bullshit, and you know it. Eli, you came back to me. I murmur, closing my eyes. Like I had a choice. Yeah, you could have killed me. I say. Many times over you could have killed me, and I would have let you. I deserve it. I deserve every bit of your anger and your hate. I made assumptions about you based on police reports of your father and uncle. I didn't even try to figure out who you were before jumping into a situation where you would get hurt. What does that make me? I bury my face in his back. All of these words are rushing out, and I'm realizing more than ever just how true they all are. A cop, he says, and his body goes limp next to me. A cop who I'm too weak to resist. That's because you're better than me, I say into his back. My phone chimes on the nightstand. Who's that? Eli asks, his body suddenly going rigid. Someone who can help us, I say as I roll over to retrieve the phone. He looks torn. I can't start to understand how he must feel right now, but I have to find a way to convince him that I'm not the enemy, at least not anymore. His nostrils flare, but he just presses his lips together, so I tell him everything. I tell him about my father, how he was part of the Carbone family, and what happened to him when he tried to leave. I tell him about my mother and sister and how we were almost burned alive when I was a baby. I show him the scars on my arm. I tell him about becoming a cop and how I was assigned to his family. Finally, I tell him about my contact, Stacy, how she's FBI and can help us take down his uncle and the corrupt cops who keep him in business, or barring that, she can at least help us escape. He listens quietly to my entire diatribe, his face inscrutable. I look at the phone, then back at him. She said a caller in an hour, but I'm not doing anything else without you. What do you mean? He asks, eyeing me warily. I mean, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I don't care as long as I'm with you. I say, if you want me to go to your uncle and die at his hands, I'll willingly go if that makes you happy. If you want to run, I'm right with you. If you want to talk to Stacy and see if she can help us take your uncle down, we can do that too. I won't do anything that hurts you again, Eli. I love you too much for that. Just tell me what you want. Eli stares across the room for what feels like an eternity. It takes all I have not to beg his forgiveness again. Finally, he looks at me, and his expression falls into something that looks like resignation. Let's see what she has to say.
Chapter 12. Eli. An hour later we're both dressed, and I'm listening as Noah talks with his contact in the FBI. The conversation doesn't seem to be going well. He's gone from calmly explaining our situation to agitatedly pacing back and forth in the small room. I guess he's not the only one who believes I'm a horrible person based on my family. I have to begrudgingly admit that he's trying, though trying to convince a total stranger, another cop no less, that I'm worth saving. What am I doing here? Why am I even allowing this? Noah snaps the flip phone shut and looks at me, his expression pained. She says she'll help us, but she has some conditions, Noah says with a shake of his head. Of course, I answer. There are always conditions. She wants your uncle, Noah says as he steps closer to me. I don't give a shit about my uncle, I say. What's the risk we have to take for this? She wants you to testify after she arrests him, Noah says, sitting down heavily on the bed next to me. No. I shake my head. That's absurd. Even if they don't find a way to kill me beforehand, I'd have to spend the rest of my life running. I'm not doing it. I slowly lift my head to look at Noah, but his gaze is focused on the floor. Okay, he says, and I lift my eyebrows. Okay. I ask. I was expecting an argument. I told you, I'm not going to force or beg or try to coerce you into anything, Noah says. I know you don't trust law enforcement, and right now I don't either, so if you say no then that's it. We'll figure something else out. What does she have to do with any of this, anyway? I ask. She works in the organized crime division. The Carbone's case was reassigned last year, and Rossi was supposed to be working with them, but he went rogue for some fucking reason. According to Stacy, the FBI never approved my going undercover in the first place. This was all Rossi. She said he had some sort of personal beef with your uncle. Noah rolls his shoulders. He knew who I was, and he knew what you meant to me, I say, more to myself than Noah. I know, I tried to don't, I cut him off. I don't want any more explanations. I just want to get the fuck out of here. So let's go to the cabin. We can figure it out from there, Noah says. They'll find us, I whisper, shaking my head. So what do you want to do? Noah asks. What if I can get Johnny's laptop? Noah narrows his eyes at me, but doesn't speak. Everything the FBI needs to bring down everyone involved would be on his laptop. Most of my family believe I'm dead, so if I can get the laptop I can disappear and your friend can make her arrests, I say. We can trust her, Noah says softly, putting a hand on my knee. Maybe you can, I snap. Do you trust me? Noah turns toward me. I try to fight it, but my face morphs into an expression of incredulity. No, I bark at him. I don't trust you, and you haven't exactly given me many reasons to do that. It's probably the stupidest fucking thing I've ever done just to be sitting in this goddamn room with you. Noah's face crumples, but he doesn't react or argue. He knows I'm right, and it hurts. Do you want me to go? He asks, his voice breaking. No, I say quickly. No, I don't know. His face falls even more, and I get up and start pacing the room. I want to believe you, Noah, I say. My hands are wildly gesticulating. Damn do I want to believe you, but you lied to me. Tears start